can't hear anyone.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you. So, happy September 24th. I'm Elizabeth Hewlett, Chair of the Prince George's County Planning Board of the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, and the Planning Board is now in session for Thursday, September 24th, 2020. In an abundance of caution resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic, this is the Planning Board's 21st virtual meeting since March. 21, count. During these continued challenging times, we remain committed to promoting a safe and healthy environment for our public, applicants, stakeholders, and staff as we propel the business of Prince George's County forward. Again, I remind everyone of the participation guidelines for our hearings, so please listen up. All participants must pre-register, and all materials, exhibits, must be submitted by 10 a.m. on the Wednesday before the Planning Board meeting as shown on the screen. Okay, that's as of now. However, effective next week, starting October the 1st, with the October 1st Planning Board meeting, the deadline for exhibits and registering to speak will be 12 noon on the Tuesday before the Thursday meeting. So it'll be almost 2 full days ahead. So, listen up. The deadline for the October 1st meeting for submitting exhibits and for registering to speak will be Tuesday, September 29th at 12 noon. Tuesday, September 29th at 12 noon. This is important because it gives us a chance to look at the exhibits and to get them to our virtual audience, to get them posted, and it's so critical during this time, so thank you. Registered speakers and presenters connecting through a computer, tablet, or smartphone can join the meeting via the link provided by the Planning Board office in the email. Online registered participants may be prompted to install GoToMeeting software in order to participate in the process. Registered speakers may also listen or participate using a phone line using the call-in number provided in the email. We ask all participants to mute your phones when not speaking, and please do not put your phone on hold, and to eliminate audio feedback, only one connected device with sound should be in a room at the same time. Of course, the public may continue to watch Planning Board meetings streamed live, or if you wish to become a person of record, you may sign up on our online web form, and please note the screen for instructions. As always, we commence our hearings with a moment of silence for those who have passed on since our last meeting of September the 17th. We will share just a few. Within our planning community, some of us will remember Jim Crunk, who was the former planning director for the City of Bowie Planning Department. He was there for several decades until he retired in 2002. He was a fixture at the City Council meetings and within the Bowie community and would appear before this Planning Board regularly. We want to remember the thousands of people who have passed from the spread of the coronavirus. So we have nearly 6.9 million cases and over 200,000 deaths in the United States. We also want to remember Tommy DeVito. You may not know the name, but you will remember the songs. Tommy DeVito, now age 91, at the time of his death, was a founding member of the Four Seasons, who was portrayed in the hit musical Jersey Boys. They were known for Big Girls Don't Cry, Walk Like a Man, Rag Doll, Sherry. Don't anybody start singing right now, please. Throughout the nation, we want to remember Robert Gretz, age 92, minister and civil rights activist who was the only white minister to visibly participate and join Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. in the Montgomery bus boycott. George Biggs, age 95, famed Tuskegee Airman who flew in 3 wars. Gale Sayers, age 77, National Football League's Chicago Bears legend and Hall of Fame running back, nicknamed the Kansas Comet, based on his speed and running style. Pamela Hutchinson, age 61, who was a singer with her sisters in the R&B group The Emotions. Their hits include Best of My Love, Don't Ask My Neighbors, and Boogie Wonderland in collaboration with Earth, Wind & Fire. Sam McBrantney, author of the children's book, Guess How Much I Love You. That beloved picture book has sold more than 50 million copies and has been translated into 57 languages. Roy Charles Hammond, soul singer named Roy C., known for his 1965 hit Shotgun Wedding. Jackie Stallone, age 98, entertainer and professional wrestling manager, and who was a D.C. native who began an entertainment career as an aerialist with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. She also happened to be the mother of Sylvester Stallone. Ronnie Hogue, first black scholarship athlete to the University of Georgia Bulldogs. He was a D.C. native but lived in Maryland. Winston Groom, who was a Vietnam War veteran and author of Forrest Gump. That novel was adapted into an iconic movie starring Tom Hanks. Stanley Crouch, age 74, author and cultural jazz critic known for his biography of Charlie Parker. And finally, of course, I don't know if you all can see my shirt, but I have always been a huge fan of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So we all know that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Justice Ginsburg, died this past Friday at age 87. And she was the U.S. Supreme Court Justice and legal pioneer and champion for gender equality. She was the second woman to serve on the United States Supreme Court, serving for 27 years. She graduated from Cornell University, first in her class, attended Harvard University, while balancing motherhood and care of her then ailing husband, who was also a law student, then transferred and graduated to Columbia Law School, tying for first in her class. She was in the 1970s. She was a pit bull architect in the legal fight for women's rights. She led a team of ACLU lawyers that brought 6 cases before the United States Supreme Court, and she won 5 cases establishing that the constitutional guarantee of equal protection applies to women also. So small in stature, but a fierce, effective giant in advocacy, a trailblazer for women's rights and gender equality, a true champion for justice. We say thank you and rest in power, our forever notorious RBG. Finally, although we remembered her before, I feel compelled to remember this young lady again. And that is the 26 years young African American woman, daughter, sister, friend, frontline emergency medical technician, Breonna Taylor, who was murdered by 6 of 22 bullets fired by Louisville police officers in a no-knock raid. Then 10 bullets were subsequently fired by a police officer into another apartment. Now, so 22 bullets fired first, then 10. No one was hit by the 10 bullets in that particular case, but the grand jury indicted for wanton endangerment for those 10 bullets fired that didn't hit anybody, but no indictments for the 22 shots where 6 did hit somebody and kill a human being, Breonna Taylor. Now, as an attorney, as several of us are, we are familiar with the grand jury process. We know it is one-sided. We know only the prosecutor presents the evidence, and we don't know what was presented. But I really don't know what to say about justice in our country. I'm totally demoralized by the very clear message in 2020 that black lives still don't matter. But as a human being, I believe that all lives matter, and all lives should indeed matter. But it's not what we see time and time and time and time and time again. So while demoralized, I refuse to stay in that position of being demoralized. By the end of this day, I will be all the more energized to do my part. And we all better wake up. We all better become more enlightened and recognize that black lives matter too. So So as we remember those that we've lost today, let's remember Breonna Taylor once more, and let's please remember justice as well. We need that moment of silence, and we need to focus on justice in America. And then, finally, we want to reach out to all of you, or any of you who may have suffered a loss in your family. We extend our deepest sympathy to you as well. Our hearts go out to you. If we may have that moment of silence, please. Thank you. Okay. It's the month of September. It is National...
Madam Chair?
Yes?
Madam Chair, if you don't mind, I just want to follow up on with the Breonna Taylor in terms of we don't want to be demoralized. I just wanted to remind everyone that the registration to vote finishes on October 13th, 2020.
Yes.
So those individuals who are not registered, they have until October 13th.
Thank you.
And also to remind everyone that early voting in Maryland begins on October 26th and finishes on November 2nd. And if you don't make it then, you have November 3rd. And the last thing is, and following up on with Black Lives Matter, we have a president who is dividing our nation. I think the importance of the election cannot be overstated. And that's all I have to say.
Commissioner Giraldo? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So it's the month of September, and thank you for the announcements about voting, because I had that in here with my census. So that's okay. You took it off my plate, so that's fine. So the month of September is National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. National Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, again, is the second leading cause of cancer deaths in men. Proper screening is imperative because survival rate increases dramatically if caught in time. Men, get tested. Women, nudge the men in your life. It is also Thyroid Cancer Awareness Month, Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, National Suicide Prevention Month. It is a leading cause of death in America. Approximately 123 suicides daily. It is the second leading cause of death for those aged 25 to 34, and the third leading cause of death for ages 15 to 24. Any of you who've got young kids or young ones in your family or in your neighborhoods, this is critically important. And the current pandemic has exacerbated this. So please look out for one another and reach out to help anyone who may be experiencing some difficulties. It is World Leukemia and Lymphoma Awareness Month, College Savings Month, good luck with that, Healthy Aging Month, which is a wonderful thing because it's designed to focus on positive aspects of growing older. Positive aspects of growing older, starting with the fact that those of us who are older are still here. So it's a great reminder, but now it's time to get with the program. It's Hunger Action Month, and we thank our food banks, our donors, our volunteers in the Department of Parks and Recreation who is doing their grab and go lunches daily. They've been phenomenal in this regard. And again, it is Happy Hispanic Heritage Month, initially recognized to celebrate the independence of several Latin American countries. The Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission is proud to honor and celebrate the countless tremendous contributions of our Hispanic Latinx community. It is National Bike to Work Week. We can improvise, and for those of dog lovers, it is National Dog Week. September 24th, September 24th, in 1769, the U.S. Federal Judiciary Act passed, creating a 6-person United States Supreme Court. How poignant. In 1789, September 24th, Congress passed the Judiciary Act establishing the office of the Attorney General, among other things. 1952, founded in 1930 by Colonel Harland Sanders, Kentucky Fried Chicken opened its first franchise in Salt Lake City, Utah on September 24th, 1952. 1957, Elvis Presley released his iconic Jailhouse Rock single, which ended up topping the Billboard charts and becoming Song of the Year. 1962, despite the Supreme Court's ruling in Brown versus Board of Education 8 years earlier, that segregation of public schools was unconstitutional, the University of Mississippi still defiantly admitted only white students, refusing to admit anybody of African American background. So in 1961, James Meredith of Mississippi applied to attend his state-funded university, where they pay taxes, I might add. He was denied several times. There were several hearings, and finally on September 24th, 1962, the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit ruled that Mr. Meredith had indeed had the right to attend the University of Mississippi, the state university, and it was upheld by the United States Supreme Court. September 24th, 1968 was the premiere of 60 Minutes, featuring Mike Wallace and Harry Reasoner. Okay, so next, and happy birthday, heavenly birthday to my brother today. September 2020, okay, so the budget forums. You can see the information on the slides in front of you. They will be annually, virtually this fall. Tuesday, September 29th, and Tuesday, October 13th at 7 p.m. To sign up to speak or learn how to submit written comments, you can just visit pgplanningboard.org. Next, from Friday, September 25th through Sunday, September 27th, the Commission's Department of Parks and Recreation will host its award-winning festival celebrating African culture and arts virtually. It is called Celebrate Africa. So there will be many. You can go to pgparks.com to see an outline of events, and it's a wonderful thing to participate in. So there you will have the schedule. Also, next is we have census. So today is September 24th. The deadline to complete your census is September 30th. There are only 6 days left. So finally, we in Prince George's County have surpassed our 2010 rate, which was 68.6% in terms of self-response. We are now at 68.7% as of yesterday. That is an accomplishment which we should celebrate very briefly, but then we need to continue on because we want to move significantly beyond that 68.7%. So last call, encourage your friends and neighbors to complete these forms online. Finally, a couple of congratulations are in order to Commissioner Manny Giraldo for completing an immensely successful term as president of the Prince George's County Bar Association. Excellent by any standard, especially impressive during the sudden new normal of this pandemic environment. We want to give it up. Let's everybody clap and give a shout out to Commissioner Manny Giraldo. You rock, Manny.
Well, look, I just want to add that, you know, it could not be done without the support of all the directors and the members of the bar that contributed immensely.
That's true. But this is your show right now. This is your moment right now. It's true. Everybody helped tremendously. Peter, everybody's helped tremendously. And thank you for giving credit to them too. But you were at the helm, and we wanted to give you your props for an amazing term. And you were recognized this past Tuesday by the Bar Association. And in that vein, we want to do special kudos to our Chief and Administrative Judge of the 7th Judicial Circuit, the Honorable Sheila R. Tillerson Adams, for very deservedly receiving one of the Prince George's County Bar Association's President's Awards from the outgoing President, Commissioner Giraldo, at the and the award was for the proactive way she adapted and was able to keep the courts functioning, serving the people of Prince George's County and the 7th Judicial Circuit. And also, Judge Adams' Circuit Court was featured this past week in a statewide presentation to the Maryland General Assembly, the Judicial Committee, as the statewide model for resuming phased-in jury trials. So, congratulations to Judge Adams. Finally, hearty congratulations to Arthur J. Horn for receiving the prestigious James H. Taylor Award. Okay, Taylor, you got to fix it. So named in honor of the pioneering first African-American judge in Prince George's County, who was also the first black assistant state's attorney and a quiet champion for justice and mentor to so many, including myself. This is a man who was an assistant state's attorney, the first black assistant state's attorney, who could try cases, prosecute cases, but could not could not eat in the restaurants where his peers, his fellow attorneys, were eating because of segregation. And no matter what, he remained a gentleman but a champion for justice, and he was just a great man. So the award was quite deservedly bestowed upon an equally humble Mr. Horn, Arthur J. Horn, this past Tuesday by the Prince George's County Bar Association, in grateful recognition for his years of dedication and commitment to the law, the courts, and the community. Can we give it up? Congratulations, Mr. Horn. And with that, we want to say we have happy birthday, Orion. Happy birthday to two special people in the chairman's office. Jeanette Cleveland, who is administrative specialist and is the woman charged with keeping me straight. Heaven help her. And to Ann Lewis, who is also in the chairman's office. They both had birthdays this week, so can we say happy birthday to them as well? And finally, to each and every one of you who is participating today and who might be in our viewing audience, we thank you and appreciate your constant flexibility, your cooperation and support as we continue to keep our planning functions moving forward in a safe fashion during our new normal. We ask that you make every effort to stay safe, to look out for one another, to stay strong, to stay resilient, to stay woke, and remain ever hopeful, just like John Lewis, Congressman John Lewis, as we strive to get through all of these challenging times together. Thank you. Without further ado, I'm moving to our agenda. I do want to say that I am here with our planning director, Andre Checkley. We have our technical hearing writer, Lee Kratka. We have our planning board administrator, Jessica Jones, and we working these PowerPoints for today. We have Kenny Flanagan, and behind the scenes back there, we have Ryan Cron, who's back there working technology and coming in here now working it too. And then we have James Hunt, who is working with us. And James Hunt, are you there? I'm sure you're there.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm here.
Thank you. Working with everyone, and of course we have our Crackerjack staff as well, and Peter Goldsmith, who is our senior counsel, who is our lead attorney for the day. So I'm going to start with the draft minutes of September the 10th. Item 2, is there a motion?
Move approval, Madam Chair. This
Yep.
is Commissioner Giraldo.
Second, Dorner.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Giraldo and seconded by Commissioner Dorner. Madam Vice Chair?
She's on mute. She mute.
Okay, Madam Vice Chair? Raise your hand then if we can't hear you. We'll work on that. Okay, that's an aye. We see that. Commissioner Giraldo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dorner?
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it 4-0. And someone can work on her sound? Okay, thank you. We also have the consent agenda. Is there anyone here to oppose the staff's recommendation on item 4D, or any board member who wishes to discuss? I don't think I had anyone signed up on that. Is there?
Madam Chair, yes. After consideration of the record for item number 4D, I move adoption of the staff findings and approval of the items on the consent agenda in accordance with the recommendations of our staff.
Dorner seconds.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Madam Vice Chair? Okay, raise your hand. Okay, Commissioner Dorner?
Aye.
Commissioner Giraldo?
I vote aye.
The ayes have it 4-0. Next, we have item 5, which is detailed site plan 19045 Royal Farms Greenbelt. We have a request to continue this from until October the 15th. I'm just going to check to make sure we have the appropriate people. Mr. Bossi?
Yes, Madam Chairwoman, good morning.
Thank you. Mr. Haller?
I'm present. Good morning, Madam Chair.
Wonderful. Good morning. Mr. Bossi, do you want to start?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chairwoman and members of the Planning Board. For the record, Adam Bossi with the Urban Design Section. As you noted, this is item 5, a detailed site plan, DSP 19045, which proposes the development of a Royal Farms food and beverage store, a gas station, and a commercial building. In this matter, the applicant did submit a letter dated September 9th requesting to continue the hearing to the board's October 15th agenda. This is intended to allow for additional discussion between the applicant and the City of Greenbelt, on which the City Council meeting is scheduled for this coming Monday, the 28th. Staff does support this continuance request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bossi. Mr. Haller?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I represent the owner and the applicant in this detailed site plan, and we have requested a continuance as we are continuing to meet with the City of Greenbelt. And as Mr. Bossi said, we have a hearing on next Monday night. I would also note that the City of Greenbelt also asked that the Planning Board hearing be continued to allow for their comments to be entered into the record. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mr. Haller. I don't know that there are any questions. If not, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we grant item 5, case DSP 19045, that we continue this matter to October 15th, 2020.
Okay.
Dorner, second.
Okay, we have a motion. Okay, so we're down to 3 people right now. Okay, so we have Commissioner Giraldo.
Yes. Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Dorner.
Vote aye.
And I do too, so the ayes have it 3-0. Next we have, thank you, Mr. Haller, Mr. Bossi. Next we have item 10 followed by the 11, both of which are draft resolutions. Item 10 is a draft resolution for a case heard on September 17th, the riverfront at West Hyattsville. I don't know if anyone, Mr. Haller, you signed up. Do you wish to say anything?
No, Madam Chair, we just support the resolution as
Okay.
drafted.
Okay, so, and Ms. Connor, we don't have anything to add, do we? Let's just, is there a motion then to approve?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve resolution PGCPB number 2020-135.
Okay,
No, second.
we have a motion and a second, seconded by Commissioner Dorner. Madam Vice Chair? No sound. Okay. She raised her hand, okay. Let the record reflect that Vice Chair Bailey raised her hand, okay, in support as an aye vote. Commissioner Dorner?
I'll vote aye, and I'll just, for public service announcement for Mr. Haller, just remind him that last week we were talking about a sector plan for West Hyattsville, so he might want to get involved with that when it starts to take off.
Thank you. We are well aware of it. We intend to participate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Commissioner Giraldo?
Apologies, Madam Chair. This is Sherry Connor. I was trying to unmute. I didn't have any comment.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Giraldo?
I vote aye.
Okay, the ayes have it 4-0. And the next resolution is item 11, which is also a case heard on September 17th, PGCPB number 2020-136, Westphalia Town Center Special Purpose. Ms. Camp, are you on? Marva Jo Camp, are you on?
I'm sorry. I couldn't unmute.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you're
No
on.
comment.
Okay, and Ms. Kozak, you're on? And
Yes.
okay, neither of you has any comments, right?
No comment.
Okay, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the resolution DSP 12043-01.
Okay.
Dorner will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Madam Vice Chair? Hand? Okay, that's an aye. Commissioner Giraldo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dorner?
Vote aye.
Wonderful, the ayes have it. Okay, next we have companion cases. Detailed site plan 18047 and departure from parking and loading standards 485 for the College Park Marriott. They're items 7 and 8. I'm going to do a check to make sure we have everyone. Thomas Burke.
morning, Madam Chair. I'm present.
Okay, wonderful. Ms. Kozak?
Present.
Okay, Mr. Horn? Mr. Horn?
Present, Madam Chair.
Okay, so, someone's on the phone and they need to mute. Okay, Suzanne Nickel?
Present.
Crystal Saunders Hancock?
Present.
Brian Barnett Woods?
Present.
Jennifer Stabler?
Present.
Terry Shum?
I am here, Madam Chair.
Wonderful. Miriam Bader?
Yes, I'm here.
David Bickle?
Present.
Stacy Hornstein?
Present.
Mr. Bickle, you may want to see if you can adjust your mic, though. And then we have one more speaker. Well, before I get to the next speaker, Mr. Horn, we know we just honored you and celebrated you, but that gives you no bennies on this case, just so you know, just so we're clear. Okay?
Oh, no.
Excuse me?
No, thank you. I appreciate the recognition.
Thank you. And then finally, Mr. Hunt,
Yes, Madam Chair.
I reserved one last speaker, one last participant here so that you can do a proper introduction.
Yes, Madam Chair. For the record, James Hunt with the Development Review Division. I wanted to take a moment and introduce before the board today Mr. Michael Jackson. He's our new employee. He's a planner coordinator in the Transportation Planning section. Mr. Jackson is a Washington, D.C. native and completed his undergraduate degree at American University and later earned his Juris Doctorate degree at the Thomas Jefferson School of Law in San Diego. Prior to his work with the Commission, Michael was the Bicycle and Pedestrian Program Manager for the Maryland Department of Transportation and was responsible for Maryland's first statewide bike plan. An interesting fact about Mr. Jackson, other than his famous name, is that he has set foot in 49 of the 50 states.
Oh.
Please welcome Mr. Michael Jackson.
Well, welcome, Mr. Jackson. We want to know which one you missed.
Right. Good morning, Madam Chair, and thank you for the introduction. That state is in the center of the country, South Dakota, although I've flown over it.
Okay. Well, that might count. The air rights there. That might count. Welcome, Mr. Jackson. We're pleased to have you and pleased to have you on this case as well. It's interesting to see your interest and experience and education in the law as well as transportation. So that's very nice combo. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Mr. Burke, you're on.
Crickets. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Planning Board. My name is Thomas Burke, and I'm with the Urban Design Section. The proposal before you is a detailed site plan DSP 18047 and a departure from parking and loading standards DPLS 485 to allow the reduction of one loading space and as listed as items 7 and 8 on the agenda. Staff recommends that the board incorporates the record from both cases. Also, I would like to advise you of a revised recommended conditions provided by the applicant. The information was received and uploaded prior to the deadline. Staff has had the opportunity to review these conditions, however, we are not.
Okay.
Additionally, I would like to advise you of a revised recommended condition provided by the City of College Park. Staff has had the opportunity to review these conditions this morning, and we are in full agreement. The city will introduce this recommended condition after this presentation. So getting started, the applicant is seeking approval of this detailed site plan and 8 amendments to the Transit District Development Standards for a vertical mixed-use building with a hotel and ground floor retail space. Slide 2, please. The site is located in the northern portion of Prince George's County, planning area 66 and Council District 3. Next slide, please. More specifically, this 2.11 acre site is located in the northwest quadrant of Campus Drive and Corporal Frank S. Scott Drive. Slide 4, please. Property is within the MUI zone and is bounded on all sides by public roads with developed properties in the MUI zone and beyond. The College Park Metro, MARC train, and future Purple Line stations are located within a quarter mile to the west of this property. Slide 5, please. This application is for the This site is located within the aviation policy area for a nearby Aviation Policy Area 6 for the nearby historic College Park Airport, subjecting this site to height standards that have been met with this application. Slide 6, please. Property is also located in the College Park Aviation Village neighborhood of the 2015 approved College Park Riverdale Park Transit District Development Plan, or TDDP, which envisions this as a compact, predominantly residential neighborhood with supporting retail and civic uses. This is the first development application within this neighborhood of the TDDP. Slide 7, please. This aerial photo illustrates the pre-development conditions of the property, showing the site as a surface parking lot, which is currently owned by MNC PPC. Slide 8, please. The site is relatively flat and located entirely within the 100-year floodplain. Development of the site will require compensatory storage on the nearby College Park Airport property, which shall be coordinated with the Department of Parks and Recreation. Slide 9, please. Campus Drive, on which this property fronts, is a master plan collector road. River Road, which is also a master plan collector, terminates across from the site. Slide 10, please. This slide further illustrates the existing conditions of the site, showing the surface parking lot and the commercial development surrounding the site. College Park Airport at the top of the slide, and the tennis center to the right. College Park Metro, MARC, and the future Purple Line stations are just to the left of this image. What can be seen is the WMATA parking garage in the on the far left side of the screen. Slide 11, please. This application is for the development of a 5-story multi-use building which proposes a 161-room hotel and 6,800 square feet of ground level retail space. The site is roughly triangular with a curved primary frontage along Campus Drive. Secondary frontages are on Corporal Frank S. Scott Drive and Lehigh Road. The proposed building has a roughly L-shaped footprint with a flat roof. The main entrance to the hotel will be located off the public use easement that serves as an extension of River Road. It can be seen, that's the left third of the image there. Parking spaces and a loading space are proposed on this access easement, as well as spaces along the site's frontage on Lehigh Road. The main parking area for the site will be surface parking behind the hotel at the corner of Lehigh Road and Corporal Frank S. Scott Drive. The site also includes a large stormwater management facility in the northwest corner to compensate for the site being located entirely within the 100-year floodplain. DPLS requests that the site provide 2 loading spaces instead of the required 3 spaces. Staff supports this request with the findings found starting on page 15 of the staff report. Slide 12, please. The building is a contemporary design of 2 distinctive parts with an alternating vertical composition of brick and gray panel upper section and an all brick first floor. The brick and gray panel finish matches that of the Washington Metropolitan, or the WMATA garage building and the Federal building across Campus Drive to the south. The first floor features engaged brick columns in a varied pattern as accents with a dark string course band to provide a visual separation between the ground floor retail space and the upper levels. The commercial storefronts are located on the south side of the building facing Campus Drive. The entrances to the storefront are from a plaza which is elevated from the sidewalk by 2 to 3 extra wide steps. This elevated plaza is necessary due to the 100-year floodplain elevation requirements which places portions of the first floor elevation above the street level. Slide 13, please. This slide illustrates the north elevation facing Lehigh Road and the west elevation facing River Road. Slide 14, please. This application includes 2 building-mounted signs for the hotel, 3 building-mounted signs for the retail space, a pylon sign, and a directional monument sign. The 2 building-mounted signs for the hotel will be located on the east and west facades with aluminum channel letters and a white acrylic base. The 3 retail signs will match in materials and be located over each exterior storefront on the south side of the building facing Campus Drive. And indicated on the top image there, it enclosed in purple, the purple rectangles. The pylon and monument signs are proposed on the northwest quadrant of Campus Drive and the River Road access easement extension. However, the TDDP prohibits the use of freestanding signs in the Aviation Village. Staff is recommending disapproval of an amendment to the standard as discussed in the findings for Amendment 7, found on page 11 of the staff report. Slide 15, please. The TDDP regulates the maximum number of parking spaces for hotels and retail space based on the number of rooms and the gross square foot, respectively. If the site is located within a quarter mile of the College Park Metro. Based on this proposal, a total of 70 spaces are allowed. The applicant is requesting an amendment to exceed this total for 80 parking spaces. The findings for this amendment can be found on page 10 of the staff report as Amendment 4. Additionally, the landscape manual to which the TDDP specifies requires that a planted island be placed on average every 10 spaces. The applicant is also seeking an amendment to this as discussed in the findings for Amendment 6, found on page 11 of the staff report. Staff is recommending disapproval of each of these amendments. This slide shows how conformance to these standards can be achieved by installing planting islands in the main parking lot, shown here on the right side of the screen, and by removing the 8 spaces that front on Lehigh Road, which is consistent with the recommendations by the City of College Park, and as shown in the upper left side of this image. Slide 16, please. This would result in a more park-like setting, which the staff report recommends by providing benches, trash receptacles, and public art. Just for information, the public art is not shown on this. That is the location and the form of public art is to be determined between the applicant and the City of College Park. With that, the urban design staff recommends that the planning board adopt the findings of this report and approve detailed site plan DSP 18047 and DPLS 485 for College Park Marriott, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report dated September 8, 2020. And this concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Burt. Are there any questions, Madam Vice Chair? Let me see. Hold on one second. I need to adjust my screen. Madam, you can't answer your questions if you have any. Madam Vice Chair, did you have any questions?
No questions.
Oh, good. Wonderful. Commissioner Dorner?
No questions.
Okay. Commissioner Giraldo?
I have no questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Horn?
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman, members of the Planning Board. For the record, Arthur Horn with the law office of Shipyard Horn in Largo, Maryland. Very pleased to be here this morning representing the applicant in this particular case. The applicant is New County LLC, which is really a combination of the Republic Properties and the Vogel Company's properties. And I wanted to correct, the property is actually owned by Prince George's County, and Prince George's County issued an RFQ for the development of the site, and my clients were successful in the submission of the contract to be able to develop this as you've seen here today. Representing the New County Hotel LLC, Mr. Stacy Hornstein, you heard, and also our civil engineer is on from SOTES, Mr. David Bickle. I want to thank Mr. Burke for his presentation. It's very thorough as usual. As he indicated, the applicant has Exhibit 1 in there, which we have some proposed changes to the conditions that set forth, which the staff does not necessarily agree with. But I think really what he's saying is there are two conditions that we propose that they don't agree with, condition D1J and D1S, but I will get to them in just a second. I think that you all may recall that back in January, January 23rd, I believe that this planning board approved the preliminary plan of subdivision for this hotel. And we were all extremely excited about it because, again, it's all part of the overall master development of what's occurring in the city of College Park, which has been tremendous development. As you all know, on Route 1, we had the hotel and the Cambria Hotel that's come through, and a lot of different developments that have occurred up there. Little did we know, all of us, that right after that, the pandemic was going to come. And the pandemic, as you know, has hurt a lot of industries, but none has been damaged more than the entertainment industry and the hotel, the recreational. And, again, we are pursuing this development here this morning, but the reality of the situation is Marriott and all the other hotels have across the nation stopped in their development of hotels simply because from the foreseeable future, and we're specifically Marriott, they're located here in this region. You all may have heard they just let go over 600 people, not furloughed, terminated, because they don't foresee us being able to recover from this pandemic in the near future. I hope the predictions are wrong, and we all hope the predictions are wrong, but it is one of those realities that we are looking at. So as we move forward here today, we are hopeful that this development will occur at this location, but we are realistic in the fact that we're dealing in a situation that it makes it difficult. And as such, what Marriott has stressed to us is important to them, is personified in these conditions that we have set forth. One of the conditions that concerned him is that you couldn't have a freestanding sign. Well, that is, the TDP talks about that, and it's not permitted. And so as we mentioned with them, that we really probably can't pursue. But what staff in the city of College Park, pursuant to the College Park Plan, TDP, is saying is that with reference to parking, and that's the main issue, this is a 161 room hotel, and the calculation is based on 0.33 spaces per room. That means for 161 room hotel, there's 54 parking spaces. Well, whether you're near a metro or not, that calculation, according to Marriott, is just simply not reasonable. And one of the things that they're asking for, and again, this is a limited space, 2.1 acre triangular shape. There's not much they can do as far as parking is concerned. But we were able to identify, and I think staff agrees with us in the fact that they were supportive of 72 spot parking spaces over the recommended 70. But it was pointed out in the slide that there are 8 spot parking spaces across over on Lehigh.
Okay, Mr. Horn, stop for a second while Mr. Flanagan here can show us. Okay, right where the cursor is.
Yeah, no. If you look at
on Lehigh,
that's right. well, maybe slide 10, if you can go back to slide, oh, well, that, right, yeah, that's not really correct. Right there, yes. Well, you can, on Lehigh, actually on Lehigh Drive, those 8 spots, yeah.
Oh,
Right
over
there, yes.
Okay, got it. Okay.
One of the things that we have to realize, there's a couple of things, because the front of the building is there, is that you have valet parking opportunities, and you don't valet park in the back of the building. And there's retail that's set forth on Campus Drive. You know, what Marriott is saying is, look, you know, if we can have these parking spaces there, then we would be able to, you know, maybe utilize them as best we can, because we know before we even go into this that we're going to be short on parking. They have plenty of examples of Marriott hotels at metro sites, but they nevertheless understand what the parking requirements are. Well, they know that in this particular area, there's only so much parking that's available. You know, there is a lot of parking that's already on Lehigh, but as you can see, that's more older industrial type of uses, and we're hopeful that this development right here will precipitate a more modern development in that entire area before it's all said and done. But be that as it may, based on the layout as we have now, they would like to be able to utilize those 8 parking spaces, like they say, if for nothing else, you know, for people could come in temporarily who just have a question, you know, or for people who, you know, are valet, they can use it for valet. So that's why we having the debate with staff and with the city of College Park before that. Again, the area that is the 8 parking spaces is located is subject to another condition that talks about the fact that there are benches or public art to go in this area, and the applicant is more than willing, obviously, to do that, and they agree with that. And they believe they can accomplish that goal even with these 8 parking spaces that are there. Certainly, if you don't have those 8 parking spaces, they can still accomplish that goal, but then they are without the spaces that they believe would be very important. And those spaces, they back into Lehigh. You know, they'll pull in and you back into the street. Well, if you can see that's the way the parking is all through that area, and that there is not really any traffic related issues that will prevent them from utilizing that parking space and then pull in and pull out in a safe manner. So that's why we're stressing so hard to gravitate, to grab a hold of as many parking spaces as we can to try to provide for the adequate parking of this hotel and retail site. And again, it's calculated out, and it definitely is you know, set forth in the TDDP as to the parking arrangements, and so we don't disagree that staff has calculated and stated what it should be. What we're saying is that based on reality and based on the fact that we have that possibility, that this would be a better layout and would be a better way to service this hotel. So having said that, again, if you all look at applicants exhibit number 1, I think the staff will concur that they would agree with our proposed conditions in 1G and 1L. And I have had an opportunity to see College Park's recommended condition to 1N this morning, and we wouldn't have an objection to that. The 2 conditions where I think staff is not in agreement with us, the first one is 1J, where there is, in our justification statement, we talked about
Mr. Horn, let me make sure I'm with you. First of all, I need for you to take a look at the paragraph B.
Right.
Okay, because it said recommend to district council to disapprove or approve, and you need to address that, number 1.
Okay, I'm sorry. it should say, striking out the word disapprove and enter the word approve amendments 4 and 6.
Okay. And disapprove amendment 7?
And disapprove amendment 7.
Okay.
I apologize. That's
okay. No worries. And then when you're talking about D1G, no, wait a minute.
D1G.
No, D1J. What do you?
D1G, I believe staff agrees with.
And I, and you said I, right?
No, D1J, you should have a color. D1J should be colored.
Yes.
Okay. So in our statement of justifications that we talked about providing a vehicle charging area in one of the parking spaces, and that may be something that occurs. What we were doing was answering the requirements of the area, and what the requirements say in the TDP in the College Park, Riverdale Park, I think it is, plan. It says that they want you to identify areas for carpools, van pools, hybrid or electric vehicles, and we will do that in one of our parking spaces where that will, because at Marriott they will have a van, even though within a quarter of a mile there are services that they provide for their tenants. So we will provide that space. The vehicle charging station is something that may be something that can use down the line. We just don't want to commit to it just right now, because the vehicle charging station will certainly be at the Metro site right across, and though in the future, electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles and all, that will be important. It is not something that all hotels have right there, and we have such limited spacing right now. We're saying, okay, we may take one of these parking spaces and utilize it, but right now we like to utilize it for our van pool, which is more likely what Marriott would have. And we need to hold on to every parking space that we can. And so that's why we're making that recommendation in D1J. And then the other one, obviously the big one, is...
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Horn? Hi,
yes.
I'm sorry to jump in. This is Tom Burke. Just for the record, we are okay with the revised condition 1J.
Okay.
So staff concurs with that change.
Thank you very much. And then now, if you would say you agree with 1S, we'd be appreciated.
Okay. Well,
S is the one that deals with the parking, and it's the difference between 72 spaces and 70 spaces as original. And 72, I think, is what staff is saying, and 80 is what we're seeking.
And I think College Park might be perhaps at 72. I guess I need to ask you a question, because when I was pouring over this, I was thinking, and I know what the standard is, and legally, so staff is abiding by this standard, and a lot of this is set forth on page 4 of the staff report, and also again on page 10. So with amendments 3. So I guess what I'm trying to figure, I thought about it with 0.33 parking spaces per room. To me, sometimes doesn't seem like enough, and because I know you're right near the metro station, but I don't know how many people are going to come to, because usually if you're staying at a hotel, you're a traveler, you're coming from somewhere else, and I don't know how many people are going to fly into an airport, and then let's say it's National Airport, fly in there, and then take the metro to the hotel. Maybe yes, maybe no. And typically, if they're from out of town, sometimes people aren't familiar with the metro system and are reluctant initially unless they really understand it. Then on the other hand, I thought, well, maybe some people might fly in from somewhere. If they fly in from BWI, then you can't take the metro there. If you can take an Uber maybe, but a lot of people may come in and rent a car, or a lot of people may drive in from someplace else. You know, it's like 4 hours away or something like that, New York or something like that. So it doesn't quite seem like enough, but I understand the complications with 80. Let me just ask you this question. I know that you have requested 80, and there may be some number in between that you can live with. I'd be really curious to hear from College Park. So I'm not going to put you on the spot just yet. I want to hear what they're saying, and see what. And I understand this thing about valet parking, but really valet parking, you know, once they take the car, you don't really care. It doesn't have to be parked in the front. You know, because they're going to get it. You just stand there while they go get it.
Sure, and I was talking about more so temporary, and as well as valet parking. That is correct. We'd have to be able to have the parking. But I think, you know, I just want to add. I think what you're saying is correct about the travel industry. From what I've heard with Marriott, this, you know, it was anticipated really that for residential in this area. So that, you know, if you live there, then more likely you will be utilizing, you know, metro and stuff, and that the parking would not be needed. For a commercial and a hotel, yes, there can be a reduction because people can take an Uber or a Lyft instead of having their own car. No question that has increased over time. But enough people still drive, according to Marriott, that they want to try to make sure they can have as many access to as many parking spaces as possible. And I'm not sure there's a compromise, Madam Chairman, because there are 8 spots on Lehigh Road and the 72 are on the back. So again, that's just the 8. There is, you know, there's not really much of a difference between. You know, cutting it in half, those parking spaces in half or whatever up there, it wouldn't give you necessarily a better design. But that's why we're asking for the 80, just trying again to utilize as many spaces as we can for the benefit of both the people who are staying at the hotel, and even actually it could benefit some of the retail that's going to be there as well.
Okay.
So.
You froze for a second. Hold on. Don't.
I'm sorry. Were you able to hear everything?
Yeah, now we hear you. There was like maybe a half a second that I didn't hear.
Okay. I was. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I apologize. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, did you hear what I was saying? I don't want to repeat myself if you heard me.
No, we heard pretty much everything. It might have been like a half a second. I don't mean like 60 seconds.
Okay. And then I just would ask, Madam Chairman, if Mr. Hohenstein or Mr. Bickle, if they had anything else to add, that would be the applicant's presentation.
Or this is Stacy Hornstein. The retail is a challenge because the critical mass that you would normally have on retail doesn't really exist here. So very few people are going to be able to walk to this site to take advantage of retail. So the retail, in addition to the hotel, is a critical concern for parking. And if we want the success of that retail to work, we need to have it to be convenient. That's my only comment, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hornstein. Okay. Anyone else?
That will be it. Yes.
I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
David Bickle.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bickle. Let's see if that was it for you, Mr. Horn, before I call on the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Madam Vice Chair, do you have any questions? Hold on a second. You passed it. Okay, so let me go to Commissioner. You're unmuted, Madam Vice Chair. No questions? Okay, so let me go to Commissioner Giraldo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only question I have is, and I didn't notice it what are the size of the parking spaces? So my thought was that if the parking spaces were smaller or not, that it could accommodate more parking that way.
I'm going to let Mr. Bickle answer that. I believe there's standard, maybe some compacting.
Hi, this is David Bickle. Yes, that's correct. There's some standard, and then there are some compact size spaces.
Do we know what the distribution is on that?
I'm pretty sure
vis-a-vis standard and compact.
Right. I thought we maxed out the compact.
And the other part of that is I don't know that would give us enough space anyway for an additional parking space. And you don't want to make them too small because, I mean, look, I'm tired of people dinging my car when they open their car doors. Okay. Okay. Somebody is echoing. It could be me. Hold on a second. Do we need to take a minute? Okay, you know what? Everybody, we're gonna take a 2-minute or couple-minute recess while we try to fix this technology issue. Okay? So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Thanks. For now, so okay. So I'm trying to remember who was talking at this point.
Yeah, Madam Chair, this is Tom Burke.
Okay.
Regarding the parking spaces, the TDDP allows a revised standard of 9-foot by 18-foot spaces as the standard parking space size. And from what I've seen on the plan, I don't recall that there is a compact standard as well, or a compact option as well. I'm not sure what that is offhand. I'll have to look at the TDDP, but the 9 by 18 is the standard, and I believe that the plan shows that throughout the site. But I will look and see what the compact is as well.
Okay. Did anyone else have questions? I mean, I know I had asked Vice Chair Bailey if she had any questions. And then we went to Commissioner Giraldo, and he had asked the question about the size of the spaces. Was there anything else, Commissioner Giraldo?
Well, I have clarification from staff. So is he saying that all of the spaces are 9 by 18?
Mr. Burke?
It appears so. I don't see any, just looking at the plan now, I don't see any variation from that. And then looking at the TDDP requirements, the compact space size is 8 feet by 16.5 for non-parallel spaces. So just for your information, but I don't see any of those on the plan.
So my question, then to follow up on my question, so there are no, all right, so let's do this. Can you find out if in fact there are compact by looking at the plan? And if so, if there were a number of compacts put in there, would that allow for additional parking within the confines of the current footprint?
And maybe Mr. Bickle can help too on that one, because it doesn't seem to me, even if we reduce the size, it doesn't seem to be, a half a foot here, a half a foot there. It doesn't seem to add up to a whole nother parking space. But maybe. Mr. Bickle, can you address that? Or someone from your team, Mr. Horn?
Yeah, that would be Mr. Bickle.
Okay.
If he
did it,
maybe on he's
muted. He's muted here. He's muted here.
Okay. So actually, that's a correct statement.
Okay.
Actually, I misspoke earlier that we use compact spaces. They are the 9 by 18. And then
If you reduce them, you
Can't hear you breaking up, Madam Chair.
Well, you know what? He's not. It's not that he's breaking up. There's an echo. Like,
Yeah.
can you turn your volume down ever so slightly? Which is where you had it before, actually, before I opened my mouth. And you only have one device on in the room at this.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Let's see what happens now, Mr. Bickle.
You hear me? Is that
Yes.
worse?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. So, yes, we could add some compacts, but it's really, it's going to be the width. It's really not going to pick up that many in a run. You might pick up one in one of the longer runs of the parking. But in the shorter runs, it's not going to pick up any significant numbers.
Well, if you really think it could pick up one, that's something, because then you get into 73 maybe.
Right. So if I'm understanding this correctly from staff, then what's required is that there are supposed to be compact and it doesn't provide for compact. That's what I want to be clear on.
No, I'm sorry. It's just as with outside of this TDDP, it's there is the option for compact spaces.
Okay.
It's not.
All right.
I don't believe it's a requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
did I hear Mr. Burke say that the size of the compact was 8.5 by 16?
This is Tom Burke again. Yes, that for the TDDP does provide that as their compact space size.
I'm just saying.
Well, that if it's by 16, then that seems to me they were anticipating back to back.
And
I'm sorry. To drive, yeah.
I'm sorry. It's actually 8 feet by 16.5 feet. I apologize if I misspoke on that.
Okay.
And that's versus 9 by 18, which is the standard. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So and there is also a parallel parking. That's certainly an option that could be explored. Maybe instead of providing the 8 perpendicular spaces on Lehigh, to provide 3 parallel spaces, and that gets us to 75. So a thought to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like that might be a good thought. Okay, so tell us about the parallel parking where?
So yeah, again, this is Tom Burke. So there are the 8 spaces proposed on Lehigh up
Right.
at the top left corner. So if those spaces were then converted to parallel spaces, the parallel space size in the TDDP is 7 feet by 22 feet. So that provides enough area along that stretch, and then it more or less, because of the narrow roadway width, it more or less mimics on-street parking in a way. But then provides them as parallel spaces.
And that would be 3 additional spaces? Or 5?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Mr. Giraldo, did you have any other questions before I get to Commissioner Dorner?
No, so I just don't understand. So we've got, what Mr. Burke said is perhaps you could do 3. I guess the bottom line is that do we know, or is there some way for us to calculate if there were a number of compact spaces, whether or not, or how many more spaces could be found? That's my question. I don't think anybody knows.
I think Mr. Bickle said possibly 1, but I don't think he knows definitively.
Let me give you one illustration. This is David Bickle. On the far, let's say the right side of the plan, where the cars are, the parking lot.
Direct Mr. Flanagan, right there?
Those number of spaces, there's 16 there now. If you made all that compact, you'd get 18 there.
Oh, there's 2 more.
Okay, 2.
Right, but you have to consider they're all 8 foot wide spaces. So if you keep doing that throughout, everyone's going to have a 8-foot wide space.
And people
you know,
with
through that area. And I think-
SUVs or regular cars, you know, regular sedans.
Right. So if you make all of them compact, you can probably pick up, you know, a few more every spot. But then again, you're making all of the parking spaces compact size, 8-foot wide.
You can't do that.
You know, in that whole. Right.
You have to provide
And
for
I
a
think-
variety. Okay.
And the other suggestion with the 8 spaces on Lehigh, if you make them parallel, those 8 spaces would become 3 parallel spaces.
Yeah.
So instead of being 8 perpendicular, those 8 would become 3 parallel spaces.
But what does that
So you
do?
lose,
Let me,
lose 5 there.
okay, let me go. Yeah, you don't have them anyway. So
Correct. But
So
I'm just telling you based upon what was shown.
yeah. So
Lose
so
5.
I think what Commissioner Giraldo is doing is trying to see if he can get you some more from where staff has recommended 70. I think we are getting to 72. What Mr. Burke just indicated with the parallel gets you to 75. It's not the 80 that you want just yet, but I guess I want to know what the parallel does. What's the benefit of the parallel parking, Mr. Burke? Does it give you more? What does that do versus? I know it's 3 versus 8, but what does that do in terms of the layout? How does that improve the layout?
Yeah, so by providing parallel space, again, I'm sorry, this is Tom Burke. Providing the parallel spaces, you're not having cars backing out onto a public road.
Okay.
Directly, especially, or particularly since you're at a curve right there. The space width only needs to be, I believe, 7 feet versus the 18 feet intruding into that section of the property.
Gotcha.
Okay. So are you saying, okay, I got it. So it's the backing out onto Lehigh, and then does it give you more green space at all? Is that what you're saying too?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Okay.
It gives approximately 11 feet more green space.
Okay. Okay. So we're asking questions at this point. Obviously, no decision has been made, but we're exploring options at this point.
So, Madam Chair, I have one more question.
Okay, sure.
Based on what Mr. Bickle had said, if we look at the one stretch area where you have at
the far right, there.
The far right, yes. So, Mr. Bickle, if just those, I'm not proposing or suggesting, I'm asking, if all of those were made compact, but the rest stayed the same standard, what would be the increase in parking, if any?
You pick up 2 spaces there.
Okay, so we've got 2 there, and then if we follow what Mr.
That's
Burke
77.
says, we have 3 additional ones.
77.
So that gives us a total of how many?
77.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So and if we did that for that back wall, because there has to be enough space for non-compacts too. So those other.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Just when
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. You're just talking about that one strip there. But I'm asking Mr. Burke. But those other spaces in the middle. Move your cursor there, right there. Those are regular size, or are there some compacts interspersed with that?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, Tom Burke. Can you repeat that,
Okay,
please?
see where the cursor is? Right there where they have parking on both sides of that strip, that median?
Yeah.
Are those combo size spaces, or are they all standard sizes, or some standard and some compact?
I believe everything presented on this plan are standard size spaces.
Okay.
Standard for the TDDP, yes.
Okay, so then that's good, because then you could do what Commissioner Giraldo has just suggested, and have as long as they have enough for other SUVs and standard size cars,
Right.
that would give you 2 more. And Mr. Bickle, I think he said 2 more, possibly even 3 more over there. But at least 2 more over there, where Commissioner Giraldo was talking about. So then you would have a combo of 77.
And you're about 5 minutes past the hour now.
Alrighty then. Okay. Okay, that's something. All right, Commissioner Giraldo, Did you have any other questions at this time?
No further questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Dorner?
Yeah, so I'm familiar with the area. I've ridden my bike across the lot and walked across it and stuff, so I know right where it's at. I don't think the earlier statement about very few people can walk in this area is a good excuse to increase parking. That does the opposite. It encourages people not to walk. And what I would like to know, I have two questions. I would like to know from Mr. Burke, instead of us finagling with and kind of going back and forth with increasing spaces in those 8 parallels, or the 8 spaces and turning the parallel, what's the staff justification for not having those spaces? And then a question for Mr. Horn is, there's quite a bit of parking in this area. There's a lot of stuff you can put on Lehigh Road. It doesn't open up to Campus Drive. You get a lot of warehouses that aren't occupied at nights. And you've got the Metro literally across the intersection from here. That has a lot of parking right now, and there will be a lot more density soon enough when we have other apartment buildings that are up in that area. So have you tried to talk with Metro about potentially spilling over parking into there on weekends as you free, or even try to talk with our own airport parking lot just 2 blocks up to see whether or not you can do valet parking up there? Because I'm finding it hard to be receptive to just putting more parking in this lot when this lot is just a vacant parking lot right now that floods constantly. It's like we're coming up with a good plan, and then we're just going back to what we have. So if you could talk about maybe what you tried to do, if anything. But first, let's turn to Mr. Burke. And I just want to know, why is the justification to get rid of the 8 spaces? Because if it's environmental based or something like that, I don't see the point of creating the parallel parking spaces right there, even though I'm pretty sure right now, if we were to go to the lot, those are probably parallel parking spaces with the repair shops that are across the street from there. But I just don't see the point of putting parking back into there if the opposition is not to have it even there at all.
Thank you, Commissioner Garner. This is Tom Burke. So the primary justification was well, there are several actually. One being the safety issue, backing out onto a public road like this, having driveways or parking spaces backing out on a curve or at the curve of the public road. So that's one reason. The other is that there are a number of means to access this site for visitors. There's the 3 or soon to be 3 modes of rail transit. There's the airport. I can't imagine many people coming by plane and staying at the hotel, but you never know. And then, today we're seeing, as had been discussed before, more people are not renting cars and Ubering, and then relying on Uber to get around even locally. So those reasons, plus the fact that this is the TDDP has a standard for the maximum number of parking spaces, and that was set at 70 for the site. So with those reasons, the staff came to the conclusion, or to the recommendation that to hold to that maximum.
Okay, Mr. Horn, can you talk about if you had to find alternatives?
Okay, I'm going to ask if they can go to slide, I believe it's 12, the next one that shows the, maybe back the other way. I want to show right there, what it looks like now. And, they're talking about the fact that, you're backing into a street where the whole area has cars that back into the road. I mean, that's not something that's unusual, and that the lack of traffic back there right now does not make it a safety issue. But let me see if Mr. Hornstein has maybe can answer the question about any outreach to WMATA or anything on that area, if he knows.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. I had discussions and our parking consultants have had discussions with the neighboring uses. There are a couple of interesting considerations. One, WMATA has leased out the parking garage to the university during certain football events, so that there is a tremendous parking shortage when Maryland is playing football. So that's a real concern for overflow parking. Secondly, when I wanted to point out when I made the comment about this is kind of standalone retail, of course the neighborhood will be able to walk to this retail, but the retail success at this location, because of its standalone, wants to increase its trade area beyond just the neighborhood. If you want to have successful retail, it's not going to be able to rely just on its neighborhood. It needs to have a broader area, and that broader area is done by parking. Third, I'd like to point out that the product we have worked out with Marriott is a Resident Inn. The Resident Inn, by virtue of its product, has a longer stay time than a traditional hotel that you'd come and go to a meeting across the street at NOAA and then get on Metro and go back to the airport. So the hang time for our hotel residents and users is longer than you'd have in a traditional hotel, because it is residents, and that does put some strain on the parking. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Dorner, you anything else?
No, I appreciate the comments. It doesn't really change my opinion any, but
Okay.
I appreciate the comments.
Okay, so let me go on to, we have other speakers signed up, so I do want to go to the other speakers. So let me start with Ms. Shum.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Terry Shum, representing the City of College Park. And the City Council voted unanimously to support this project with the conditions laid out in the letter that I believe you have before you.
We do.
And so really, we are in alignment with your staff's recommended conditions, with one exception, the parking. So since that seems to be the main topic, I want to address that in just a minute. And the other would be just some minor changes to condition D1N, which has to do with streetscape. But first, just to say a little bit about the parking situation. So really believe that this site and this project is uniquely situated to be able to comply with the standards in the TDDP. You could not be much closer to the metro system, to the WMATA parking garage, which is public parking, so that is readily available. And then, of course, you had the neighborhood streets, which are controlled by the city and which allow for on-street parking. So that gives a lot of wiggle room, if you will, I think, for the applicant to provide adequate parking. Not to mention the fact that I believe travelers do look for alternative ways to arrive at their destination now. So that's important. And then I think we have to look to the future, because parking is a trade-off here. Having a continuous unbroken sidewalk on Lehigh Road may not seem like a big deal now, but as this area redevelops, it will become very important. So the 8 perpendicular spaces really sort of impacts that, and also impacts the stormwater management area, the open space provided there, and the opportunity to create a park-like setting in that environment. So the city is supportive of additional parking. Whatever additional parking could be included in the parking lot at the rear of the building. I think that is the best solution. Alternatively, what Mr. Burke recommended in regard to parallel spaces is not preferred by the city, but is an acceptable alternative, I believe, for all the reasons he stated. It would have less impact on the roadway. It would appear more like on-street parking. It would avoid, the dangerous backing onto the road, and it would have less impact on the stormwater management area. But again, that is not preferred, but in the spirit of compromise, I think it would be acceptable. And then finally, what is it? D1N in regard to streetscapes, to be consistent with the city's recommended condition. If you could include Campus Drive in that, as well as Corporal Frank Scott Drive, in regard to providing streetscape information. I know it's very confusing, I think, for everyone to understand what the future streetscape of Campus Drive is gonna look like. I know it was really sort of unclear on the plans. The ownership of this roadway has changed, and I think it's split now between State Highway and Prince George's County. So clarifying that was the intent of the city's recommended condition. And then, of course, because Corporal Frank Scott Drive is a city street, we'd like this condition amended to include the city of College Park as part of the review of that streetscape at the time of certification. So with that, that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Okay, let me see if anyone has, first, Ms. Shum, thank you for the spirit of compromise. Let's see if there are any questions. Madam Vice Chair?
No questions at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Giraldo?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Dorner?
No questions, but I fully agree with the City of College Park's remarks on the unique situation of this parcel, and that we don't need to have those other 8 spaces. I was asking earlier because I actually like the green space there. I don't think we need to do even 3 parallel spaces. We can do some kind of a combination of compact spaces on the rear lot, because, yeah, I fully agree that the point of the TDDP is to create high-density areas, not to include additional parking. That street does not open up to the main Campus Drive. If you look at Lehigh, it loops around in the neighborhood, so I don't think it's necessarily as dangerous. There's parking back in there that's currently occupied by some of the repair shops and other places, but we could fix that with better regulation around that. Okay. So that's my thoughts.
So I think, well, okay, thank you. We have one more speaker, and then I'm not sure I'm in total agreement with you, Commissioner Dorner, but that's okay. Then let's go to Miriam Bader.
Yes, so I do not have any further comments.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So of course, so that's everyone who signed up to speak. So Mr. Horn, you get to close out, and we get to ask you whatever questions. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chairman, and I appreciate it. As I mentioned before, we have had an opportunity to see the proposed condition that Ms. Shums referenced, and I actually saw the way it should be worded that was sent to Mr. Burke this morning, and so the applicant does not have any objection to that. I just want to state that for the record. I can appreciate what Commissioner Dorner is saying about this site, which is why we start off by saying, yes, in theory, this would be most ideal for residential over top of commercial, because that is really, the trying to reduce the number of traveling or people who live there with better control the fact that they don't have the need for vehicles, and they have the metro access right there. But again, we're hoping to be able to have this move forward as the applicant comes forward with this Marriott and the proposal. And again, we're appreciate the fact that the city is willing to compromise on their suggestion, and we appreciate Mr. Giraldo's attempt to have some additional parking spaces in the back. Anything like that would help, because we don't operate facilities like hotels, like Marriott does, and we're just, moving on what their suggestion of what they know and their experience, what it would take. So they would like as many spaces as they can, recognizing the fact that this is in the TDDP area. And so any additional spaces that the applicant can receive in this case would be very much appreciated. And I'll just say one other thing. I did graze over, but I do think, as I mentioned, I do not believe staff has any objections to the rest of our proposed changes in the applicant's Exhibit 1. I just want to make sure that would be correct.
Mr. Burke?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Tom Burke, for the record. Staff does not have any objections to the other proposed changes.
Including College Park's
I would like
revisions to N?
And I'm sorry, yes, as well as the College Park revision on that.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to advise, though, real quick that just please note that any amendments to the parking standards require approval by District Council. So just so that's on record.
Okay, so it's okay. Okay. Okay, well, I'm struggling with this because I think the hotel, I know this is in the TDDP, and I know that travelers, some people will take a cab or some people will take an Uber, but some people will drive there, and as someone said, I don't know, I don't know if it's Mr. Horn or Mr. Bickle. Someone said that it's a residence inn, and people tend to stay for longer periods of time. That's the function of a residence inn. You have more space. You have the meals. You have the kitchenette and all that stuff, so that you can actually live there for a little bit, have an extended stay. And so I tend to think that 0.33. Parking spaces per room is somewhat challenging for a hotel, not for other uses, but for a hotel. So I appreciated the efforts towards compromise, and I appreciated what Commissioner Giraldo was saying in terms of the spots, having all compact spots at the. You can go ahead, Mr. Flanagan, and show on that back side there. No, compact all against that. Go back to that one. There, over there. Those will be all compact. So I appreciate the 2, possibly even 3 spaces, I think Mr. Bickle said, but at least 2, definitely 2, that could be gained. I have no problem with the parallel parking either, because part of the issue there was backing out into Lehigh would present a safety issue, but you don't have to back out if you parallel park, and plus you do get more space. I think they said 11 more feet for green space. As Mr. Burke indicated. So to me that was a good compromise, because you do get the best of both. You get some spaces, not all 8, but you get the green space that enhances it, and you help another hotel thrive in Prince George's County. So that's, in the spirit of compromise, you don't get the whole 80, but you get 77. So let me see if anyone has a question of Mr. Horn at this point. Commissioner Giraldo?
I have no further questions.
Okay, Commissioner Dorner?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Madam Vice Chair?
No questions.
Okay, since everyone's spoken, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, this is Peter Goldsmith, Senior Counsel. If I may make a suggestion, it seems like the only debate is over the parking issue. May be worthwhile to make separate motions, separating out the.
Well, I don't know yet. I'm not ready for that yet. So, but thank you. But that's possible. Okay, let's see. Sure. Let's see where we are first, and if not, we can split it because we have 4 people, so we see how it goes.
I should make the first motion, which will probably be shot down, but I'll do it anyways. So I'll go ahead and I'll just start off by saying that I don't mean to imply on my comments that I don't appreciate the discussion earlier or the attempts for the hotel. this is definitely a very much needed site to have happen. I think when we originally came forward with this site, Mr. Horn may remember that I was very enthusiastic about it because it's just a vacant lot that floods. So any kind of development on here is definitely welcome. However, I do think that we need to view this in context of a wider kind of TDDP area, and we don't have to sit at forcing all the parking onto one site, because there's plenty of places that are literally across the street from here, or in some of these side alleys that you can find parking, or even up at our airport area. I don't know what the vacancy rates are going to be, or sort of the standard occupancy that would need the cars, because we haven't heard that today. So I'm just not convinced that we need necessarily to get up to the 80 spaces. If we had that kind of information, I think it would have been more compelling. But I like to have the park there, and I don't think we really need those additional spaces right there. So I'm going to make a motion that, based on the discussion today, the analysis in the staff report, that we adopt the findings of staff and approve DSP 18047 and DPLS 485 as outlined in the staff report, along with the findings that are pertained there as well, with the modifications as proposed by the City of College Park for D1N, that to include Campus Drive and Corporal Drive in this streetscaping, as well as including the City of College Park in the review. And then along with the applicant's exhibit, I think everyone is fine with making the additions to DG about requiring about the striking of full and adding in the text, DJ, DL, and D, and not removing DS is going to be what we may be debating about. Making the additional change in number 2. So I'm actually not going to accept the proposed changes in Part B. I'm going to stick with what we had with staff. Because I think we can get creative if you need to have more compact spaces within there, but we don't need to go beyond the TDDP standards in this particular site.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Commissioner Giraldo seconds for discussion.
Okay. Is there discussion?
I would ask Commissioner Dorner if he would accept that the plan be revised to add along that one strip over on the far right, the compact spaces and the parallel parking on the far left side.
So I'm fine on the far right side, over by the back lot by Corporate or Corporal Franklin Scott Drive, or Frank Scott Drive. I'm fine with adding the compact spaces over there. I think it's totally fine. I just don't think we need to have on the northwest side of that site any parking spaces up there, because it's a park, and this is literally a parking lot right now. And I don't think we need to have any of that, because one of the big problems, and something that we haven't heard today, is that the stormwater drainage in this site. It's terrible. And with the new construction, it's going to get better, but our airport that's right above this site, like 2 blocks north, we're going to have a stormwater drainage easement put on there because there's just not good enough, it's not good enough on this particular site. So having an additional park there, I think, promotes the green space in an area that's a highly industrial area, and it provides the ability for potentially having some mitigation that's definitely needed on this particular site. So I'm fine with the compact spaces. I just don't think we need the parallel spaces in the northwest part.
In that case, what I'll do is I'll go with the compact spaces and drop out the addition for the parallel parking.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so Mike, so this is Commissioner Dorner's motion, and so you have seconded that motion. Is that a second then? You said seconded for purposes of discussion. He does not accept your proposed amendment, so the motion stands as Mr. Commissioner Dorner made it. Okay. Is there any additional?
Madam.
Yeah.
Question now. We're adding Mr. Giraldo's comment about the compact spaces to Commissioner Dorner's motion.
Right
correct?
there on the right, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to call for the vote. Madam Vice Chair?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo?
Vote aye.
Okay, for the record, I vote no. I would have gone with a different motion. Thank you. So I think we could have used those parallel parking spaces. So the ayes have it, 3-1.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congrats on the award too.
And by the way, yes, congratulations on your award. And the other thing I would say, I hope everyone knows, since there's been much talk about Corporal Frank Scott, I hope everyone knows exactly who that was, Corporal Frank Scott. I'm not seeing anybody chomping at the bit to answer that. But anyway.
Madam Chair, this is Tom Burke. I can answer that question.
There you go. Tell.
Okay.
Corporal Frank S. Scott was the first enlisted airman to be killed in an airplane accident.
Yes, he is. Yes, he was, and that's one of my trivia questions, which my commissioners should know because I asked that at all of our commissioner type events. So.
I knew that, Madam Chair. I knew that, but I didn't want to.
Oh.
If there's other people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. That was nice. Okay. All right. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Burke, for answering that question. Okay, we need to take a quick break. We're going to keep on going as long as we can before we break for lunch. We're going to come back and do item 6. 6 followed by 9 followed by 3A. Okay, so just like 5 to 10 minutes, okay? Thank you. After our little break, the next item is item 6, detailed site plan 20022 Woodyard Road Station. Let's check and see if we have everyone. Okay, Mr. Burke. Mr. Burke, are you on? Is that Vice Chair Bailey? Okay. Okay. So, Mr. Burke?
Madam Chair, I'm present.
Okay, wonderful. Chris Hatcher?
Chris Hatcher's here.
Okay, wonderful. Chuck Schneider?
Present.
Tom Masog?
Present.
Noel Smith?
Present.
Jennifer Stabler?
Present.
Mike Lenhart?
Present.
Marva Jo Camp?
Present.
Daniel Jackson?
Present.
Donald Belfield?
Present.
Okay, let me see if I have anybody else. Nope, that's it. That completes our sign-up list. Jill Kosak, I know you're on as the supervisor. Okay.
Yes, present.
Thank you. And do we have Mr. Goldsmith on? Yes. Okay. Good.
Present.
Thank you. Okay. With that, I'll turn to Mr. Burke.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Madam Chair
Good
and
afternoon.
members of the Planning Board. My name is Thomas Burke. I'm with the Urban Design Section. The proposal before you is a detailed site plan, DSP-20022, which includes Type 2 Tree Conservation Plan, TCP2-014-2020, for Woodyard Station. And this project is listed as item 6 on the agenda. The applicant is seeking approval of this detailed site plan for infrastructure for the installation of public roads, stormwater facilities, utilities, and mass grading of the site. Slide 2, please. The site is located in the southern portion of Prince George's County in Planning Area 81A and Council District 9. Slide 3, please. More specifically, the site is located on the north side of Woodyard Road near its intersection with Branch Avenue in Clinton. Slide 4, please. The subject property shown here is located in the MXT zone and is bounded to the north by vacant land in the MXT zone and single-family detached residential properties in the R80 zone. To the west by vacant land in the MXT zone and a church school property in the R80. And to the east and south by commercial uses in the CSC and vacant land in the MXT zones. Council Resolution CR 13-2018 placed this property into the MXT zone, and it is subject to the development concepts in the Central Branch Avenue sector plan, which envisioned the site as a commercial mixed-use and residential medium-high density set on a traditional grid pattern. Slide 5, please. The site is also located within the military installation overlay, which establishes a maximum building height of 230 feet for this site. Building heights will be further evaluated with subsequent detailed site plan reviews. Slide 6, please. This aerial photo illustrates the pre-development conditions of the property, showing the site is fully wooded. Slide 7, please. The site is relatively flat with no regulated environmental features located on or near the property. Slide 8, please. The master plan right-of-way map shows the site connected to Woodyard Road, a master plan arterial road. The extension of Mimosa Avenue, shown here in a pink color, it extends to Old Branch Avenue from the stub of Mimosa Avenue, and is a master plan primary road. Slide 9, please. This slide further illustrates the existing conditions of the site, showing the existing residential community beyond this property, the commercial development to the south and east, and a religious facility to the west, which is the left side of the screen in this case. Slide 10, please. This application is for infrastructure only for a proposed mixed-use development consisting of townhomes, multifamily units, and a commercial use. The proposed road network serves to fulfill the circulation and connectivity envisioned in the Central Branch Avenue sector plan, as well as the master plan of transportation. The public road infrastructure includes an extension of Mimosa Avenue from the current stub at the property line, continuing around to the western boundary line. Next slide, please. As shown here, for an ultimate future connection to Old Branch Avenue. A 10-foot wide multi-plat path is proposed along the north side of this extension, and a 5-foot wide sidewalk is proposed along the southern side. Private road and alley stubs are shown on this plan for internal connections to the forthcoming mixed-use development. Slide 12, please. The circulation proposed with this application includes a connection to Woodyard Road with 5-foot sidewalks on either side, and a direct pedestrian connection to the adjacent commercial site, circled in red towards the top of the screen. And incidentally, that commercial use does have a pass-through, a breezeway pass-through to enter the front side of the commercial use. So with that, this property is subject to the provisions of the Woodland Wildlife Conservation or Wildlife Habitat Conservation Ordinance. A Type 2 Tree Conservation Plan TCP 2-014-2020 was submitted with the DSP application, showing areas of woodland removal, preservation. Woodland removal and preservation. The urban design staff recommends that the planning board adopt the findings of this report and approve detailed site plan DSP 20022. And Type 2 Tree Conservation Plan, TCP 2-014-2020, subject to the conditions contained in the staff report dated September 8, 2020. This concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Let's see if there's any questions. Madam Vice Chair?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Giraldo?
I have no questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dorner?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hatcher, you are on.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Chris Hatcher with the law firm of Lurch, Early & Brewer, here on behalf of the applicant TAC Woodyard LLC for this DSP for infrastructure. I'd like to thank the community stakeholders that we've been coordinating with throughout this entire process, including the CSP and the preliminary plan, as well as staff on working with us on this exciting development. At this point, the board should be relatively familiar with this community, having reviewed and approved the CSP and the preliminary plan, which did reflect the transportation infrastructure as well as some other elements and site circulation. And so we're extremely excited to take the next necessary step with this infrastructure DSP and additional DSPs for the architecture, which should be before you guys, hopefully before the end of the year, first quarter of next year. That being said, we have reviewed the staff report, findings, fact, conclusions of law, and the proposed conditions, and the applicant has no issues with those. Thus, the applicant respectfully requests that the planning board adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law contained in the staff report and approve DSP 20022 with conditions, as well as the associated TSP. With that, our entire team is here to respond to any questions that you may have, but we submit on the record.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hatcher, and I'll see if anyone has any questions of you. But so Mr. Lenhart, Ms. Camp, and Mr. Jackson are only here for now if there are any questions. Is that what I understand?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Okay. Madam Vice Chair, any questions of Mr. Hatcher?
No questions, but did he also include the TCP item? Don't think I heard that.
I think the GCP.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Giraldo?
I have no questions, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Dorner?
I have no questions, but I thought we were guessing that this case was going to take a little bit longer. Did we not have anyone?
Yeah, we do. I didn't get to them yet. The applicant goes first, and then I'll get to the citizen. Okay.
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 No questions.
Any questions, Mr. Hatcher? Okay. Mr. Belfield?
Yes, ma'am.
Please identify yourself for the record, and then you can proceed with your comments.
Yes, ma'am. Don Belfield. I was born and raised at 6608 Woodley Road, and later purchased the property at 8600 Mimosa Avenue, which is approximately 3 houses away.
Okay, stop for a second, not because of anything that you're doing, but I want to, if we can get the graphic up, and Mr. Burke, which would be the best slide to utilize so we can see where Mr. Belfield lives? Maybe.
Actually,
that one?
Slide.
Yes. Okay.
Right above R80 on the the small R80 behind the shopping center. I own the property right next to that. No, not the other R80. The other one, the small one. Small one to the right.
With the one that's marked over there? No.
It's real small. It's on Mimosa Avenue. On Mimosa Avenue, right there. I own property on the corner of Mimosa and Woodley.
Okay, I don't see where you're. I don't see.
Right
there it is.
above
Okay,
right
got it.
above
I see it. I got it. I see it. Okay. I couldn't find the cursor.
I own that property. I grew up 3 houses away.
Okay.
My concern with this is I'm a volunteer fireman at Morningside. I've been there for 35 years. I'm still active. I mostly drive fire trucks. We run all over the county, so I'm familiar with roads all over the county.
Okay.
Extending Mimosa Avenue into this development is nothing more than a bypass of the intersection I call 4 roads, which is by B.K. Miller's, because that intersection contains 4 different roads. Old Branch Avenue, Scoutaway, Brandywine, and Woodyard Road. I refer to it as 4 roads. Old Branch Avenue up by Plata Street, which is just north of Chrismar Avenue, the developer built about 75 houses. He was required by the Planning Commission to upgrade Old Branch Avenue, and he did. It's very nice. There's 2 lanes in each direction, sidewalks. As soon as you get to Chrismar Avenue, that ends. Obviously, there's some issue with continuing to develop or expand Old Branch Avenue between Chrismar Avenue and the church. When that church, which was a Safeway at one time, when they expanded, the planning commission made the church do upgrades to Old Branch Avenue, and they did. But there's a section of Old Branch Avenue, one lane in each direction, where Mike Miller used to have his law offices, and I don't know what the issues are.
Someone is, yeah, thank you, talking. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay. I don't know what the issues are. I think there's some right-of-way issues. Old Branch Avenue needs to be expanded. It needs to be finished from where that developer made it 4 lanes all the way down to the intersection. If you allow people to drive through, and this neighborhood, we're talking about Mimosa Avenue, Woodley Road, Rockwell Drive, Schultz Road, there are shoulders that are gravel. There are no sidewalks. It's not ADA compliant. This neighborhood was built in the early 50s. It was a gravel pit. They used the gravel from that neighborhood to build the runways at Andrews Air Force Base. There's no sidewalks. There's shoulders on some roads none. So now they talk about putting a multi-use path proposed along the northern side of Mimosa Avenue. Mimosa Avenue runs north and south, so I'm not sure what side. It's either on the east side or the west side of Mimosa Avenue. But let's hypothetically, you're coming home from work from D.C. and you want to get down to Brandywine Road. You are not going to sit in traffic backed up on Old Branch Avenue. You can get off of Branch Avenue, cross over Coventry, use that service road along Branch Avenue, come up on Schultz Road, bank a left turn onto Rockwell Drive or right on the Mimosa, and you bypass most of that intersection. That's what's going to happen. Now, they ain't even talk about when people are sitting in traffic and they want to go shopping at the Safeway or the Walmart, and you're sitting on Old Branch Avenue and you're tired of waiting. You're just going to bank a left on the Woodley Road, which is a very narrow road, come all the way down to Mimosa, hit Mimosa, come back out to Woodyard Station, and you'll be on Woodyard Road. I am telling you, 1,000 cars a day are going to cut through this neighborhood. This neighborhood is not designed for it. They don't talk about Rockwell Drive. They don't talk about Stilts Road, sidewalks, or, people walk in the street in this neighborhood because you can't walk on the shoulder, if there is a shoulder. Those are my major concerns. And then the master plan right away, which was slide 8 of 12, that would be disastrous if they connected that road all the way out to Old Branch Avenue. That would be a total disaster to that whole entire neighborhood. And I just want you guys to really look at this. This neighborhood is really old. It was built a long time ago, and it's not made for the traffic that if this is approved, there's going to be issues. There's going to be a lot of issues. I just hope you guys really think this through. I think this is nothing more than a cut through to get around. They need to upgrade the intersection. I'm all with that. If the county has to help the developer fix that section of Old Branch Avenue, the county needs to step up and help the developer. But Old Branch Avenue needs to be upgraded to 2 lanes in each direction, all the way to the traffic light, and then connected to where that last developer across from Plata Street and Old Branch built those homes. And I think that would be significant enough for that traffic to not back up the way it does. Another thing, Prince George's County has been limited in a lot of the apartment complex and townhouse complexes. Most of them only have one way in and one way out. Now you're trying to create 5 or 6 ways into this development. And when Prince George's County, for a short period of time, my parents divorced, I lived on Maxwell Drive. I used to be able to get in there 3 or 4 ways. You can only get in there one way now and one way out. And oddly enough, it's helped with crime, people not being able to commit crimes and flee in different directions. So it's worked, what the county's done. I'm just against adding this old neighborhood to a new development when you have no sidewalks, there's no ADA compliance in this neighborhood, and I just think that really needs to be looked into before you approve this. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Belfield. I'm going to see if there are any questions for you at this time, and I'm going to ask you to stay on because we're going to have some other people speak on this issue. We have transportation experts on the line, and also we have and we have our attorney. I know this, this is the detailed site plan stage, and I know this, we had a conceptual site plan approved in March, and then a preliminary plan of subdivision approved in May of this year, and so some of this was hashed out. But let me see first if the board has any questions for you, and then Mr. Hatcher, would you want Mr. Lenhart to respond as well?
If that would be beneficial to the board.
Right. So, okay, because, yes, I know that's why I mentioned that this was already addressed in preliminary plan of subdivision. Okay. Okay, so Madam Vice Chair, do you have any questions of Mr. Belfield?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Dorner?
No questions. Thanks for attending and sticking around with us for a couple hours.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Giraldo?
I have no questions, but I also want to thank the witness for appearing and hanging in here and telling us what he sees as the issues.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the problem is, I think maybe I'll turn to Mr. Goldsmith first, because there are different stages of approvals, and not everyone knows that. Not everyone is as fluent in the land use lexicon as those of us who do it more regularly. So, Mr. Goldsmith, or do you want to take a stab at the different stages and when we address this transportation issue?
Sure. Well, first I want to say that the planning board's authority is circumscribed by the district council. The planning board has to follow the laws that the district council adopts. And the district council chose to zone this property MXT, which is mixed use transit oriented. And in the mixed use transit oriented zone, it requires the proposed development to be physically and visually integrated with existing and adjacent development. So the detailed site plan is one of several approvals, as Madam Chair mentioned, in a series of approvals, and several of these approvals have already come before the board and been approved. The full site plan was approved and it showed this connection. The master plan shows a connection from Mimosa Avenue, and the subdivision regulations require that any preliminary plan of subdivision conform to that master plan. So that connection is required under that requirement. And when this preliminary plan came before the board found that the proposed connection the connection that the applicant was proposing connecting to Mimosa Avenue did conform with the master plan and therefore approved that connection. So this detailed site plan is just showing what has been previously approved.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Goldsmith. Mr. Lenhart?
Hi, yes. Good afternoon. So I guess my initial thoughts are that the questions and comments that this gentleman raised are really more valid at the time of preliminary plan of subdivision. That's when adequacy of roads are tested. This project did undergo a adequacy test where they prepared a traffic impact study at the time of preliminary plan, and the application was deemed to satisfy 24.124 of the ordinance, which is the adequate public facilities test. And while most of the issues that were raised today are really off-site issues, the detailed site plan really looks at site access and on-site circulation, not off-site issues.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lenhart. So, Mr. Belfield, I'm not sure, I can't remember every person who signs up on every stage of a development, so I'm not sure you were signed up or spoke at the preliminary plan stage. So that time period has passed. But that doesn't mean that we don't hear your concerns, but that decision was already made. And what I will do is Mr. Hatcher, if you could at least get information to Mr. Belfield, and we won't give out numbers or anything on the virtually like this, but we'll make sure you have the contact information so that you can communicate the studies and where we are. Okay. And so Mr. Hatcher is committing to that. Okay.
Mr. Hatcher is committing to that. We will reach out to you. I believe we will get your email and reach out to you before the end of the week, Mr. Belfield.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Okay. Ms. Campbell.
I also wanted to mention that we do have regular meetings with the community, and we are scheduled for another meeting with them, I believe, on October 21st, where we will go through the entire project again.
Okay.
And I'll make sure that Mr. Belfield has that information as well, so if he would like to join.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hunch, would you see to it that Mr. Hatcher and Ms. Camp get that information?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm doing it right now.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Does the board have any questions of anyone? Madam Vice Chair?
No questions.
Commissioner Dorner?
No questions.
Commissioner Giraldo?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Since everyone has spoken, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that the planning board adopt the findings of this report and approve detailed site plan DSP 20022 and type 2 tree conservation plan TCP 2-014-2020 for Woodruff Station, subject to the conditions as outlined in staff report.
Second.
Okay,
Commissioner Giraldo, seconds.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Madam Vice Chair?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo?
Vote aye.
Okay. The ayes have it 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if it's all right, I'd like to personally echo the sentiments that you shared at the beginning about Ms. Taylor, you and the commissioners.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Hatcher. Tough times. Okay, so next we have item 9, which will then be followed by item 3A. Item 9 is detailed site plan 19042, Branchville Gardens. I'm going to do a check to make sure we have everyone that we need. Mr. Bishop, are you on?
Present.
Wonderful. Mr. Lynch, I see you, so you're on. Okay. Mark Juba?
Present.
Crystal Saunders Hancock?
Present.
Noel Smith?
Present.
Terry Shum?
I am here, Madam Chair.
Wonderful. Miriam Bader?
Yes, I'm here.
Barry Kaysen? Hold on a second. There you are. We're unmuting you, Mr. Kaysen, so hold tight. Well, we're trying to unmute you. Does he have to unmute himself? You have to unmute yourself, Mr. Kaysen. All right, well, while you're doing that, Mr. Kaysen, I'm going to, I know we have a couple more people. Armin McCoy?
Present.
Okay. Thomas Tanner?
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Anna Diaz? Is it Ana Diaz? Ana Diaz?
Yes, I'm present. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Thank you. So the only person we're missing right now is Barry Kaysen.
Madam Chair, good morning.
Okay.
Or good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, we're good. So that's everybody. We have 3 exhibits in this case. We have applicants Exhibit 1, Branchville Gardens proposed revised conditions. We have opponents Exhibit 1, which is the fire department letter to let me see, to let's see, hold a second. Opponent exhibit number 1, which is the Prince George's County government fire department letter from Captain Chuck Smibby. I guess I hope I pronounced it right. Okay, and then we also have, I guess it looks like a PowerPoint, which is the volunteer fire department's concerns with the Branchville apartments. So with that, those are 3 exhibits, the opponents 1 and 2, and then the applicant's proposed revised conditions. Okay, Mr. Bishop, you are on.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the Planning Board. For the record, Andrew Bishop of the Urban Design Section. Item 9 is the DSP for the development of an 81-unit multifamily building in the city of College Park. The applicant submitted revised conditions prior to the Wednesday deadline and will be prepared to discuss these if it is the desire of the board.
Okay.
Slide 2, please. The site is in Planning Area 66, Council District 3. Slide 3, please. The property is located on the north side of Branchville Road, west of its intersection with Maryland 193. Slide 4, please. The site is in the R10 zone and is bound by the public rights-of-way of MD 193 to the north and Branchville Road to the south, with the Branchville Volunteer Fire Department beyond across the roadway. West by single-family detached homes and east by proposed stormwater facilities in the OS zone. Slide 5, please. It is noted that the property is not in any overlay zones. Slide 6, please. This aerial shows the property, which is currently vacant and outlined here in red. Slide 7, please. The site is generally flat and slopes to the east and proposes no environmental impacts with this application. Slide 8, please. This slide shows the master plan rights-of-way in the vicinity of the property. These include the arterial of University Boulevard directly north of the site in red, the collector Rhode Island east of the site in green, and the major collector of Baltimore Avenue west of the site in blue. Slide 9, please. This slide is a bird's eye view of the undeveloped site and shows the location of the Branchville Fire Department south of the Sudrip property. Slide 10, please. This illustration shows the site plan for the property with the building on the western portion of the site. The property is accessed from Branchville Road and its entrance is aligned with 49th Avenue. The main entrance to the multifamily building faces 193 and includes a circular drop-off area. Parking for the property is provided by surface parking lots on the north and east sides of the building, in addition to parking proposed underneath the building. Recreational facilities are proposed within the building and at the rear of the building, where staff is recommending additional features such as a pergola, decorative pavement, trash cans, and seasonal landscaping to enhance the space and make it more enjoyable for the building's users. Slide 11, please. This slide shows a landscape plan submitted with the application. AC 19025 was filed with its DSB and requests approval of an alternative buffer on the northern portion of the northern property line adjacent to 193, as highlighted here in green on the slide. The buffer proposes a reduction in the required width, but provides the required amount of planting, and is further discussed on pages 9 and 10 of the technical staff report. Slide 12, please. The next 2 slides show exhibits demonstrating the improvements recommended by the City of College Park, which include the addition of an asphalt turning area to accommodate the Branchville Volunteer Fire Department. The turning radius of the fire trucks is shown in red, and the additional paving recommended by the City of College Park is shown in dark gray. Slide 13, please. This exhibit shows the recommended asphalt turning area previously discussed and the recommended sidewalk from the building to the intersection of Branchville Road and Rhode Island Avenue. Slide 14, please. This slide shows the relationship of the subject property to the Greenbelt Metro Station. The approximate property boundary of each site is outlined here in yellow, and as measured from property line to property line, the subject site is approximately 4,000 feet from the Metro property, and wholly within 1 mile of the subject site. Slide 15, please. The following slides show the architectural design of the contemporary building with its flat roof and cross gables. Interest is provided on the building through different building volumes and massing, architectural design elements, and balconies on the facade. Slide 16, please. The exterior of the building is finished with a mix of materials, including brick, hardy plank, and clapboard sliding. The proposed brick is primarily located on the lower 2 levels and extends in varying heights on all sides of the building. Additional conditions are recommended regarding the treatment of the entrance plaza and the parking garage window screening, which have been included in the technical staff report. Slide 17, please. This slide shows the proposed signage on site and includes an externally illuminated freestanding sign and building mounted sign at the lower portion of the slide. The signage on the property is subject to 27-218C for real estate signage and is recommended to be revised as proposed with the applicant's revised condition language for condition 1D. In conclusion, the urban design section recommends the planning board adopt the findings of this report and approve detailed site plan DSP 19042, AC 19025, and TCP 2012-2020 for Branchville Gardens, subject to the conditions found in the staff report. The applicant has proposed revised condition language, which has been reviewed by staff, and we are in agreement with the proposed language. This concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Let's see if the board has any questions of you. Madam Vice Chair?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Dorner?
No questions.
All right. Commissioner Giraldo?
No question, Madam Chair.
Okay. With that, I'm going to turn to Mr. Lynch.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, Dan Lynch with the law firm of McNamee Hosey here on behalf of Cruise Development. We're here on Cruise Development's first project in Prince George's County. They are typically a developer in Massachusetts and specifically in Boston. And they bought this property a number of years ago. As a matter of fact, if you look at the development history of the property, you'll see that they had a preliminary plan as well as a detailed site plan approved for the site back in the 80s. Due to changes in the real estate market, they never moved forward with that approval and focused primarily on the projects in Boston. A number of years ago, they decided to bring this project back to life, and we approached the city and started working with the city on what we are presenting to you today. I have with me here today also, in case there's any questions, Barry Kaysen, who's the civil engineer on the project, as well as Armin McCoy, who is the project manager with Cruise Development. As staff indicated, this is a proposed multifamily development located in the R10 zone. We're proposing 81 units. Primary access to the building will be from Branchville Road. There are no variances being requested or departures being requested with this application. And as indicated by Mr. Bishop, we are asking for alternative compliance with regard to our buffer along University Boulevard, but staff is also recommending approval of that alternative compliance request. I know that Mr. Tanner, on behalf of the Branchville Volunteer Fire Department, is here today with comments on this project, and I also know that Ms. Shum with the City of College Park is also here. Again, we agree with the staff's recommendation and would really pretty much defer to their presentations, and then I'll have a chance to come back and address any comments they have with regard to this. The only other comment I have with regard to my the staff report is just some minor tweaking to the proposed conditions. I ran this past staff's in agreement with that, and that's found, I believe, in Applicant's Exhibit 1, entitled Applicant's Revised Conditions of Approval. We are asking for a minor change to condition 1D relative to the proper citation to the sign ordinance, and then a minor tweaking to
Q.
condition 1.
Q.
Give me a second. 1Q. And I just want a clarification that the fence that's being installed by the applicant is a faux wrought iron fence, just to make sure that's completely clear. I think staff is in agreement with both changes to these conditions. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And again, Mr. Cason as well as Mr. McCoy are also available for any questions you have with regard to this application.
Okay. Let's see if there are any questions, Madam Vice Chair.
Well, what was the change in item D that he referenced? And I did not understand, follow item D.
It's a citation.
Okay, and item D, it's just a citation.
It's 27-618C for,
okay.
I mean 618C, yeah. And yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Giraldo?
Yeah, I have a question. What is a faux wrought iron fence?
It's a tubular steel fence. We already have one installed on the property. It's going to be black, look like wrought iron, but it's not going to be wrought iron. It's going to be a tubular steel.
Is it aluminum?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
I kind of wondered too, and I said I might be seeing it all around and not know it, for all I know.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so Commissioner Dorner?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let me turn to my other list. And so, well, let's start with Ms. Shum.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, Terry Shum, representing the City of College Park City Council in this matter, who voted unanimously to recommend approval with the conditions as stated in our letter dated September 9th, and we appreciate that all of our recommended conditions have been included as part of your technical staff report and have been agreed to by the applicant. So I think we're in a really good place. Staff can say that the minor revisions as presented, as I just heard, are also okay with the city. So because we're in total agreement, I'd just like to say, as Mr. Lynch mentioned, that this project has been a long time coming. It started back in the late 80s, and it's really good to see it finally come to fruition. We welcome the Cruise Development Company to the neighborhood. And I will acknowledge that the community back then in the 80s worked very hard with the cruise company to get provisions in the preliminary plan and the detailed site plan that was approved at the time to address, things that were important to them. And in fact, they executed their own agreement with the applicant. Of course, here we are now, today, and the county regulations have changed. The plan before you is different than the plan that was approved, back then. But the city believes the spirit of that agreement with the community is being addressed in the conditions that are before you today. And I believe you have a letter from the Berwyn District Civic Association that indicates they are not opposed to this project. So again, the city unanimously supports this project. We believe it'll provide needed affordable housing for the area, and we welcome it to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shum. Let's see if well, Ms. Shum, now that you have presented, does Ms. Bader have anything to add to that?
No, I don't have.
No.
I do. Sorry,
Okay.
I don't have anything. to
Okay,
add.
thank you. So let's see if the board has any questions of either of you representing College Park. Madam Vice Chair?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Shum.
Wonderful. Okay. Okay, Commissioner Dorner?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Giraldo?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Wonderful. Okay. With that, and Mr. Kaysen is here to answer any questions that we may have, and same thing with Mr. McCoy. Mr. Lynch?
That's correct.
Okay, so then I'm going to turn to Mr. Tanner at this point.
Hello, Madam Chairman. Tom Tanner. I'm trustee at the Branchville Volunteer Fire Company and Rescue Squad Incorporated across the street from the subject property.
Okay.
I've been a member there for coming up on 30 years in December. And so we are have a few issues with the subject property, the development.
Madam
I
Chair,
want to bring
Madam
the
Chair,
attention to
Hold on a
Madam
sec.
Chair, may I object at this time?
And what are you objecting to?
The Branchville Volunteer Fire Department is a corporation, and Mr. Tanner is not authorized to represent a corporation before a quasi-judicial body.
That's true.
Madam Chair, who's speaking?
That was
Lynch.
Mr. Lynch. That was Mr. Lynch.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I just need to understand the process here.
Okay,
I
hold
have a
on.
letter from my corporation that authorized me as the speaker. So I don't know if that was something I needed to submit. I apologize if I didn't.
Well, okay, let me, I might have to turn to Mr. Goldsmith on that. I think, typically you can't, but we do have this wonderful PowerPoint that, so Mr. Goldsmith, are you prepared for this at this juncture, or do you need a minute?
Just need 1 minute.
Okay, that's fine. So take your minute. Okay, but let me say this. Here's the thing. While they're deciding that,
Can I speak personally?
yes, you
As a member of the company for the last 30 years.
absolutely you can speak personally.
Okay.
Absolutely, you can speak personally. So you want to go ahead with that?
Sure.
And then we have the submission from the volunteer fire company
Okay.
that we can accept. It's in the record.
Okay. Just to let you know, we are a volunteer fire company. And what I say as a personal individual does not reflect any of the views of the Prince George's County Prince George's County Fire and EMS Department. I don't know if they're going to put the presentation up
We can.
on your board here.
We can. Hold tight for a second.
Sure, no problem. So while we're waiting for that, I can make a couple comments regarding the staff report.
Okay.
For one, on page 5, number 4, we
Okay,
are not
hold
the
on.
West Berwyn.
Let me turn to page 5. Page 5, number 4. What was that? Okay.
In there, they describe us as the West Berwyn Fire. We're the Branchville Volunteer Fire Company.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I agree with staff's report and recommendation in 1L. Right now, this development, for only the levels that I've seen in the drawings that I've seen, they can provide 3 washers and 3 dryers for 81 units. I do think that's probably inadequate. As I understand it, they do not have
Mr.
washer
Tanner.
dryers in. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm trying to stop you for a second because we're trying to work this PowerPoint. So you do need them to share it, or you don't need them to share it? Okay, because I just saw it up there a second ago. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I did see it. I saw it pop up for a second.
Okay, so hold on a second. Okay, so while I was trying to work this out here, I missed your statement on what you were concerned about, what you're taking exception to in the staff report.
I actually have supporting staff recommendation 1L.
Okay. Okay, let me find that. Okay, got it. The recycling?
In the drawing that we saw, there were only 3 washers and 3 dryers provided for 81 units. Now, that only showed the lower level, them on the lower level of the parking area. As my understanding is, there are no washer dryers in the individual units, so 3 for the whole building, 3 sets for the whole building does seem a little inadequate to me.
Okay.
I do not know if there are additional laundry rooms on other levels.
Okay. So maybe they can, Mr. Lynch can answer that question. Okay. All right. Was that it for you for the staff report or no?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
So I just want to bring up, let's see, I have scribbled some notes. I'm trying to figure out where I'm at on.
Okay.
Because I expected to go to those after I did my part.
Well, you can go. We're ready for this other.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So we're
Okay,
ready.
Madam Chair.
No, hold on.
Madam Chair, can I ask? Again, I'm going to have to object. This is Dan Lynch. Going to have to object because this presentation says it's on behalf of Branchville Volunteer
Okay.
Fire Department.
Can we take off the front page, please?
Yep. Get rid of that.
Mr. Lynch, we're going to note your objection for the record, okay? But now Mr. Tanner is speaking for himself. Okay.
As a 30-year member and member of the community, I used to live in College Park. I lived right across from the firehouse on 50th Place. And so, next slide, please. So this is the current plat. One thing that I've noticed in all the discussions that mainly everybody outlines the parcel A. They don't mark the parcel 91 at the right-hand corner of that property that they include as part of their, they're using it for their stormwater management. Just a historical note, no, right to the left of your cursor. Yeah, that corner area. Just for a historical note, that's the last vestiges of the property that belonged to the first mayor of the city of College Park, William Duvall. And there are 2 existing mature holly trees on that property that he planted back in the 20s for the birth of his sons, one of which went on to become a chief at our firehouse. And they still exist, but they're not counted as specimen trees for some reason in the report. And I think that's because all the reports I've seen only mentioned parcel A, not that parcel 91 is part of this development. And I don't know if that's something that needs to be addressed by staff or somebody else. Next slide. Okay, this is an overlay of the building. I am not computer savvy. It took me a little while to figure this out, how to do this. But this is, you saw this earlier slide. The red area that you see, the red box, that is when I talk about the turning area for our firehouse, that's where the engine bays are located, the engine and ambulance bays for us to respond either go right to get out on the University Boulevard or make a left on the Branchville Road to go to 49th Avenue to get to downtown City College Park, or go left up Branchville Road to get to Route 1 and then respond for the areas up there. Attic Towers is a structure over across the street from the proposed structure. That was built in the 1970s, I think it was, or 80s. Mashroom could correct me. That was that's owned by the City of College Park. It's used for, originally built as senior citizen housing. So it has very minimal parking. That is the only large structure you'll see, other than the next largest structure in the neighborhood is the firehouse. This building is a little larger than what you expect. The next largest building you'll find for this size is going to be up on Route 1, or to the east of this, to Plan Right, over in the Greenbelt Station development, over a half mile away. Next slide, please. This is the view from 48th Place. If you were looking at that previous slide, it would be looking from the houses to your left of that previous slide. Just giving a view, the sun would be blocking, because you're facing east, you would not get any, you get severe blocking of the sun for these homes. They're going to be in the shadow for most of the morning. Next slide. Okay, we'll talk about the turning radius. The drawing that Cruz Development provides and is cited by the City of College Park's record and was cited as slide 6, I think it was, no, slide 14 on the presentation, is inaccurate. It shows these supposed 45-foot trucks coming out and turning long before they could without hitting the entrance of the engine bay. The engine bays are only 10 feet wide. Our engines are 9.6 wide at the mirrors, or 9 foot 4 inches wide at the mirrors. The apparatus we currently have are 30 feet, and we only have 12 foot of curve. So we have to wait until we're about 20 plus feet out of the engine bay before we can start making a turn in Branchville Road is on. So when the previous DSP was approved by your board, your predecessors, there was a provision in that DSP for adequate turn radius for the fire department. And I'll talk about that in a little bit in the next slide, I think it is. But here, I do like to say that we have been working with Terry Shum and the City of College Park, and Cruz has agreed that they would provide asphalt paving up to their existing, to the park property line and to the full width of the engine bays. And that's adequate for our current needs, but does limit us to any sort of expansion into providing ladder truck service or rescue squad service for the county and the community. So, and just so FYI, it's harder to back into a firehouse than it is to pull it out. Next slide, please. So these are drawings presented by Cruz in response to that previous DSP, showing the fire truck turning radius requirements, and if you'll notice in the right hand of that drawing, and I don't know how well you can see that, there outlined in black is the property line.
We can see it because we have
and
hard
you
copies.
notice that the turning radius does overlap that for the 45-foot unit, which is the same one they cite in your staff report, that drawing 14. You'll see that the drawings are significantly different in terms of the amount of space required. Now, for our 30-foot trucks, we can make that turn at the property line, but if we get a larger truck, we go into ladders, then we need that additional space. So just FYI, right now we're satisfied, but we wanted it for the record that the amount of property provided is not in compliance with what was requested through a letter from the Prince George's County Fire Department and required in the previous DSP. Next slide. Our big concern is the parking that's going to be with this building. This building's got 81 units, a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments. And per 27568, the project requires 195 spaces, and they're proposing 130. As you saw in that drawing, there's not a whole lot of space for on-site park or off-site parking, and any off-site parking would be prohibited in front of the firehouse. Any off-site parking on Branchville Road or on 49th would inhibit our ability to make quick responses in and out of our firehouse. So how do they get away with the 130? Well, they're saying, and that's one of your other slides, and actually there's a pretty good slide, I've got one next. They're saying that they are wholly within 1 mile of a metro station. The question becomes, how do you define what is the property of a metro station? They're using any WMATA property that is associated with the Greenbelt Metro Station, including a stretch of property that is the water management site for the metro station. It's not the actual metro station lot. So that property goes down, follows the Indian Creek, all the way down almost to Greenbelt Station. And Mr. Lynch got hold of one of your associate general counsels and said, hey, we say it's going to be property line to property line. But the way they're doing that definition of property to property line would imply that any WMATA property line would qualify, because they're not using the property line that is defined for the address for the Greenbelt Metro Station.
Okay, so that we're going to have to turn to Mr. Goldsmith and actually Mr. Lynch to respond to those, to explain that as well.
Can I finish and then?
No, sure. No, I'm letting you know that we'll get to that. Yeah, you can finish.
Oh, understood. Absolutely. Okay. I expect that. Yes, ma'am. So one of the contentions is that the definitions for these metro stations aren't clearly defined, and I agree with that. But there are definitions in the zoning code for defining what is a station, and it's in Section 5-189, which defines as the entrance to the station. And then there's 27372.01, which says the center of the station platform. So, what do you use? Next slide, please. If you use the property line as defined by Cruz, that would be the red circle. And that is the end of that water retention zone that they've established for the station. And then you can see the drainage pond up above, the stormwater management pond, and then Indian Creek, it goes down through the Indian Creek. But that's not part of the station. The station is up above it in that outlined area. And the station entrance from the College Park side, not the Greenbelt Metro side, which would be to the right and farther away, is that green circle. Their property does not even touch the 1 mile radius for that property. Or as defined by either the station entrance or the station platform. So is the contention that the 1 mile radius is meant to be for the purpose of encouraging people to walk to these stations and not use cars, thus reducing the dependence on cars and need for parking? That's my thought. That's what the council had in mind. But now you're making it so that they have to go 1 mile and 3/4, or I'm sorry, I misspoke, 1 1/3 miles to get from the Cruz property up to the entrance to the station if they're going to walk, or spend $4 a day or more to take a bus to go up that way, or Uber, or whatever the costs are for that. Next slide, please. This is from the Atlas program. If you type in the address for the Greenbelt Metro Station, 5717 Greenbelt Metro Drive, we go there fairly often to pick up people with our ambulance. The area outlined in blue is the property boundaries per that address. So you'll see it's significantly smaller. The other properties related to WMATA properties are outlined, as you can see just below the blue. You can see their point, the property stormwater management area. It's hard to do this. I didn't anticipate this slide being so busy. I was trying to get the 1 mile radius in there. But you'll notice that the closest point for that property to the Cruz property is still, the 1 mile radius still comes up short. Okay. So if the argument is that you're using a property line to property line, you have to define what property you're using. If you're using the property that is listed in your database as the property for the Greenbelt Metro Station, using the address 5717, then that's the property line you should be measuring the 1 mile from, and thus they are outside that 1 mile and should have a requirement to provide 195 parking spaces for the development as currently provided. Otherwise, if you're just saying a WMATA property, anybody within a 1 mile radius of a track could say, well, that's part of WMATA property that's attached to a metro station at one end or the other. We can use this loophole for anywhere along the track. Okay. Next slide. Why do we care? Well, again, we're concerned that overflow parking, people are going to be stupid, and they're going to park in front of the firehouse. They're going to block us from getting out. They're going to park at the corners, which means we're going to make it very hard for us to make turns on 49th Avenue to respond into the city of College Park or into the city of Berwyn or development of Berwyn. When we brought these concerns up to Cruz Development, their reply was, well, that's a parking problem, that's a local issue, not us. So we're taking it on ourselves. Plus, there isn't a whole lot of street parking there available already, and so the local residents will probably be affected as well. Next slide, please. We still think this property is too large. It's out of character for the other properties in the area. Again, your closest property development that's at large are up on Route 1 and along Greenbelt Station Parkway.
But I
which
think
is
it's consistent.
a development. That development is only 4 stories tall, 4 stories in a roof. Yes, ma'am.
But I think it's consistent with the laws enacted by the district council. And let me ask this question. The preliminary plan, granted it was a while ago, approved what, 96 units?
88.
The preliminary plan?
That's correct.
It was back in 86 or 87.
Yes. Yes. Was it 96 units?
Yes,
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. And so this one has gone down to, what, 81?
81.
Okay, thank you.
But it's still 7 stories.
Okay. Okay.
So we're just still too large for being in character with this with the development in this area, in the Berwyn, Branchville area.
Okay.
As you can see, the way as from my earlier slide, where how it towers over the single-family homes that are there.
Okay.
Even the developments on Route 1, the Monument Building up in the 9100 block, 9122. That building's only five stories tall. The Greenbelt Station, like I said, there's a number of 4-story townhouse units there. There's and then 3 4-story apartment developments there. If you put it up there, it'd be at least consistent with what's up there. You know, at 5 or 6 stories, 7 stories. But for here, it's too large.
Okay.
Next slide, please. That's just a surface area comparison. You know, this building is much larger than attic towers in terms of how much surface area it covers.
Okay.
And next slide, please. So, again, speaking as a 30-year veteran of the fire service, not official Prince George's County, they have to go by NFPA. NFPA does not have a requirement, as far as I know, that you have to have ladder access to all sides of the building. You're having a 66-foot tall building, which is outside the reach of ground ladders. So the only place you can access a ladder truck for this building is going to be on the side with the parking. You're not going to be able to bring a ladder truck within range of the long side down faces to the south at Branchville Road, or at the west side where all the single families are. So any personnel who are trapped in those upper levels who are not able to get out, we're not going to be able to get to them except through interior firefighting. We're not going to be able to rescue them by ladder because they're going to be outside our range. So you've got 2 levels of this building that are going to be taken up by parking levels, with the third level being the first living space. The first living level is going to be the only one we're going to be able to access by ladder. Levels 4 through 7, we're not going to be able to access by ground ladder. So we would like to see some sort of accommodation for that on the other sides, these long buildings. Now you have a section 11276B calls for buildings that are more than 30 feet and set back more than 50 feet from the public road, which this meets. That it should have, along its longest side, an access road. The longest side, continuous side of this building is the south side of this building at 201 feet. And thus, there should be some sort of access road provided on that side if I'm reading this properly. And then the only other concern, we're trying to address that with the City of College Park and with the property. We're worried about people making an illegal left turn as they leave the property. Because Branchville Road continues to University Boulevard and there is a traffic light we control at the end, people may see that light and say, oh, I can go out that way. They're going to make a left, go in front of the firehouse. If it happens while we're pulling out, that could be bad. So we're trying to figure out controls for that. Next slide, please. So your entrance of the building has a traffic circle in front of it. Now, 11276 says follow Prince George County Department of Utility standard for turnarounds. I have to pull that up. when you're providing fire trucks. Where is it? All turning radius for fire vehicles shall comply with Prince George's County Department of Transportation Standards 200.12 urban cul-de-sac offset turnaround and 2013.13 urban cul-de-sac symmetrical turnaround. So if you refer to that document, to the Department of Transportation regulations, specification standards for roadways and bridges, it says, to avoid the necessity for long, dangerous backing maneuvers, any roadway with no outlet, which this would count as, should be provided with a facility for turning around vehicles such as fire trucks, snowplows, refuse trucks. Preferred facility is a round cul-de-sac, either symmetrical or offset, adequate for turning single unit trucks or buses less than 40 feet in length. For cul-de-sacs of minimum dimensions, a center island generally is not approved because it interferes with the aforementioned turning maneuver, the parking of vehicles, and the use of radically positioned entrances. It then goes on and shows a diagram for that specific standard cited, 200.12, and that's the diagram of staff has that available. And it gives dimensions for what this cul-de-sac should be. Cul-de-sac's dimensions for an urban secondary residential road, which is the closest road. They only give 3 options: urban commercial, urban primary residential road, and urban secondary residential road. It has a radius for the circle being 38 feet. The radius provided is 25 feet, with 10 feet of that radius being taken up by a circle in the center, which would make challenging for a ladder truck, even a short ladder truck or a fire engine, 30-foot ladder fire engine, to make that turn, necessitating all units responding to any calls for this building for fire trucks. The ambulance can make it. Fire trucks do a long backing maneuver to back out of the structure to Burnsville Road, and so we would like to see that addressed in some way.
Okay.
Next slide, please. I think we're near the
Now
end.
you got to
Sorry.
take that one off because that's, you just take that one off. Okay. But
Yep,
there's,
that's fine.
you've already summarized those. I want.
Yep, I did all that.
Okay.
Now, based on what I was just hearing, and I just finally got a chance to look at the staff report.
It was available. You didn't have.
I'm sorry. I go to the thing where it says the process or the I didn't find it.
Okay.
I apologize. I did finally get somebody, Mr. Bishop, I got hold of him and he sent it to me.
Okay.
Question on, they're reducing the buffer along 193. They're going to have the same amount of trees and things, but they're going to reduce the buffer space. I don't know how that will address any sound issues there might be. 193 is a relatively loud road as people are leaving, going west from Rhode Island Avenue, going west toward Route 1. As they leave that intersection, they do apply a lot of power and you do get a lot of noise issues. So I would think that, and I didn't see it addressed in the staff report, that there should be some requirement that the building have some sort of noise attenuation applied to it.
Okay.
So that you have less than 45 decibels of sound inside the building as
Okay.
and that was on a previous recommendation I saw somewhere. I
Okay.
don't have it here.
That's
in front of
because
me.
this is a detailed site plan. So we're at a different
Is
stage
that
in the
part of it? I'm
development
sorry.
process.
Okay. Staff recommendation 1H says hydrant or fire department connection. This should be a fully sprinklered building, and so it should have a fire department connection to it. I would just like to emphasize that it's really important for us for being able to provide additional water to supplement any fire pump or hydrant pressure, or I should say water pressure coming from WSSC. So we would definitely want to have a fire department connection, not just for sprinklers, but also this building should also be equipped with standpipes and so that we can we would take our hose, we wouldn't have to run it up the stairs, connect it to the fire truck. We just take the hose and connect it to the standpipes in the stairwell.
Okay.
Let's see, slide 12 diagram. I think I've hit most everything. I'm really interested in hearing what I think you said there was somebody from the Prince George County Fire Department on this. I'd like to hear or
Oh,
at
no,
least
I
see their
didn't say,
comments.
I didn't say that, huh?
Oh, okay. I thought somebody saying there was somebody from the fire department, from PG Fire. My mistake.
Okay.
And I think I've hit all the things except for mentioning that the part of this preliminary plat of subdivision, there had to be a traffic study back in 1986, 87. Greenbelt Road has changed in terms of what its capacity is since then.
Yep.
In 1986, 87, it was 2 lanes with a center turn lane the whole distance. It has changed to only 1 lane in each direction now. And so I don't know if the adequacy studies are still valid.
They are.
In terms of what they could support.
Legally, because that was got them through the preliminary plan stage, and that's done, and it's still in effect. So.
Okay.
From
And
a
I
legal
think that
standpoint.
is all my comments. I thank you very much for bearing with me the first time doing this. So I'm not exactly sure of everything that goes on, and I'm actually quite pleased to have had opportunity to present this. So thank you very much, and I'm going to mute now unless you need me.
No, but we thank you for presenting. And it is hard, when someone presents for the very first time, and it's hard for people to understand the different stages of development. In perusing the staff report, you do realize about the preliminary plan, but certain aspects are evaluated at different stages. So the transportation part was done way back, and yes, things have changed since then, but that part is done, and they do not have to revisit that as of now. So we thank you for presenting. I'm going to see if any board members have any questions of you, and then we're going to turn to Ms. Diaz. So let's see if there are any questions of you, and then I will go back to. I have a couple of people to call upon, and when we finish with Mr. Tanner and Ms. Diaz, I'd like for maybe Mr. Bishop to address some concerns, Ms. Shum, and maybe Ms. Well, we'll see who else we'll call on, but definitely Mr. Goldsmith. So let me see if the board has any questions of you, Madam Vice Chair.
Well, I don't have any questions of Mr. Chan. I thank him for his presentation. It was quite thorough from his standpoint, I believe. But I do have a question about the sprinkler. He brought up something about the sprinkler inside in the building. So I'd like for someone to address that at some point later on, not necessarily Mr. Tanner. Thank you.
Thank you, because there are a number of things. But yeah, that was a good one. We want to address the hydrant, the parking spaces, the ladder access, the traffic circle, and okay. So there are a number of things. Yeah. Okay. Commissioner Dorner.
So I'll just tell you, Mr. Chan, you did a great job. This being your first time. And I'm interested in hearing from our staff and then maybe a legal opinion on your questions about the different ways to measure the radius. I find that actually kind of amusing because I get in these kinds of interesting debates in our research stuff because we're really interested in, is it as the crows flies, is it walking distance, is it to like some centroid of a parcel? And a lot of times it's not clear. A lot of times when the legislative body is writing the statutes, it's not clear. It just has a 1 mile radius. And they don't think about these kinds of things because they're just writing it generically and they're not doing any kind of GIS or spatial analysis. So I think those are interesting questions because it's sort of the corner solutions or case points that we need to consider because it matters. And I'm interested in what our interpretation or view is on how we measure the radius and how that would impact this project. But yeah, thanks for being really thorough in this and doing a good job at bringing this all together. Now, since you've testified, you will be a person of record getting updates about the case.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Giraldo? You're muted. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let's unmute you. Mr. Giraldo?
Thank you.
Okay, good.
I have 2 questions. One, and first I want to thank Mr. Tanner for his presentation. He did an excellent job. One is with regards to the fire department's letter of March 14th, 1988, is it your position that the current plan does not meet with the requirements of that March 14th, 1988 letter?
If you look in the 88 letter, it says 45-foot radius, and then they give, as it measures from 7/8 of the way out of the building. That's because, again, we have the tight doors. The diagram that crews themselves presented in the earlier thing, you will see that it goes over that property line to where what right now is going to be a sidewalk. And for our current engines, that is adequate, but if we did any sort of future expansion to provide additional services to the city of College Park and to the Prince George's County in general, we would need more space out front. Now, the way that was resolved in the 1988 drawings was that they would provide a runover space on their property. So that could also come in the future. We would just like it somewhere in there that if that becomes a necessity, that runoff space be provided.
So what
if we expand, we go get a ladder truck to provide additional services, we would need that additional space.
So are you asking the applicant to make some sort of concession or offer that as part of the plan, that in the event you get a ladder truck, that you'll need that additional, that they would accommodate you?
If that's what it is, if that's what happens, if that's incorporated into the resolution or something, that would be excellent. I'm not sure how that all works. I'm sorry, I'm new at this.
Well, no, I'm just asking whether or not you're asking the applicant to make that proffer.
Well, we've always asked for that. I mean, we've for years we've asked for that. We're going to have to, as you can see, we have to settle for what we're getting because that meets our current needs, but it does limit us as a separate entity. I can't get a fire truck. I can't get a different fire truck to provide an additional service because I would not be able to get out of that building.
Okay.
And my main thing is the drawing that you see right now, those you see in red is what they're putting as an overlay out the distance for a 45-foot long truck. And you'll notice that the reds as they go crossing over the building lines are widening out. I don't have room to widen out. I got 10 feet and I got an 8-foot wide truck and I've got, I got to get those 9-foot wide at the mirrors. I got to get that out first. I can't do a 45-foot truck in and get it directly onto Branchville Road as they're showing on here. That's physically impossible.
Okay. My second question is I wasn't quite sure I understood what you were talking about with those holly trees.
Oh, that was just, I'm everything that I've seen on this drawing and these plans, everybody talks about Lot A, and including the tree conservation plan. It talks about one specimen tree being in the woods on the west side of the property, but nothing mentions the 2 mature hollies, which I've never seen a holly. Those 2 hollies, they're 30+ feet tall. I've never seen hollies like that, and I'm just trying to figure out how they weren't counted as specimen trees. And the only thing I can think of is that everybody keeps concentrating on Lot A, and they don't realize that Parcel 91 is also part of this development. And I don't know what all the I'll call them the trades, the different boards, the different organizations that review these plans are looking both at Parcel A and Parcel 91. To us, they're kind of historical. I mean, this is the last vestiges of the property for the city of the first mayor of the city of College Park. His driveway is still there. It goes up right there at the boundary line between the 2 properties. You can see it in the satellite photos. It's still there. You can even see the outlines of the garage that was at the end of the driveway. And that's in the soil studies. They talk about when they do the soil studies, they find debris from the previous residents there. So I just on, it's interesting. I don't know if it means anything, but.
Okay,
right.
thank you, Mr. Peter.
Okay. And I already called on you, Commissioner Dorner, right? Or did I? Yeah, I did.
You did.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go. At this juncture, Mr. Lynch, do you want to respond to some of these issues? I know we're at a detailed site plan stage, so some of this stuff is not relevant. I know there was some issue about the parking spaces, but correct me if I'm wrong, 130 parking spaces are required, right?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
And 130 spaces are provided?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, so you meet that criteria, okay. The issue regarding, I can't address the issue regarding the turning radius and all that kind of stuff. I know turning radius is important, but I can't say whether it's acceptable or not acceptable. I think the height issue is not a problem, at least for me. It's consistent, the whole thing is consistent with what the district council approved. You have the City of College Park totally in agreement with this. It is a reduction from the 96 unit multifamily building to an 81 multifamily unit building. I think it meets the criteria for parking. I'm not sure about this parking in front of the fire station, because, you know, I would really question someone's judgment if they park their car right in front of the exit to a fire station, because, you know, that to me, then you know, whatever happens to your vehicle at that point is on you. So I don't get that. Okay, Ms. Diaz.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm opposing to everything. I am highly disappointed listening to everybody in the meeting. I live in the neighborhood of 48th Place for 20 years. And from the beginning of this development coming up and them trying to build it, I haven't agreed with it. Just the whole geometric of where they're going to build it, how they're going to build it, where it's going to be placed.
Hold on, hold on. We lost your sound, but apparently we can't hear you right now. Can we figure out how to get her? Are you using Bluetooth? We cannot hear you. Oh, Ms. Diaz, can you say something? It sounded like we had you back for a second.
Yeah. I heard something. Of course, she's gone now.
Ms. Diaz, if you can... We hear you now. Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. You can continue.
I just, as someone that lives on 48th Place, we will all be personally affected, and all I mean, my mother and my siblings that reside here, we will all be personally affected with this building, and I just want you guys to know that, and that's the only reason solely why I'm speaking today in this meeting.
So, Ms. Diaz, how long have you lived there? You said 20 years? Okay, she's gone. Oh, no, she's there. Okay. Ms. Diaz? Well, let me just say this. I hope you can hear me. We invite everyone, and for future reference, when they go to move somewhere, to come to, we can check land records and see what's approved and what's the zoning allows in a particular, in their community and in their neighborhood. And in this particular case, the preliminary plan for this application was approved long before you moved there. So, because that was approved in '87, and so while we know it's an adjustment, when people learn that something has been approved, or the many stages of that development have been approved prior to your moving there, that's why I invite people to come, and people don't know that very often until it's too late. But when this pandemic is over, people can come to our information counter and they can always ask questions about what's being proposed in that particular area before they move there. We may, but we thank you for staying with us all day and expressing your frustration with this. But we have to make our decisions in accordance with the laws that have been enacted, and the plan has been approved. The preliminary plan has been approved. The building is consistent with the zoning as enacted by the district council, so we can't willy-nilly just say no for that reason. We have to have some other legitimate reason. So, but we thank you for your testimony in that regard. Now, Mr. Lynch, let's start with you about trying to answer some of the questions.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, for the record, Dan Lynch with McNamee Hosey here on behalf of the applicant. One of the questions goes to, I think one of the first issues raised by Mr. Tanner in his testimony went to, I believe, sprinkling the building. And, in conformance with the building code of Prince George's County, this building will be sprinklered. I will also note that we have agreed to the condition of approval contained within the staff report relative to locating fire hydrants within, I believe, 200 feet of the building. And again, that is a direct comment that was received from the fire department via an email to Mr. Bishop, dated May 27, 2020, and that's in your backup information. The fire marshal in that email specifically states that hydrants shall be provided so that no exterior portion of the building is more than 500 feet from the hydrant as hose is laid by the fire department. Number 2 states that a hydrant must be provided within 200 feet of any fire department connection. We have agreed to a condition of approval relative to those 2 comments received from the fire department. Mr. Tanner also mentioned, with regard to access, the circle located in front of the entrance to the building. He cites you to, I believe, an MDOT standard. That standard is for public roads. That's not applicable to parking lot. We did not intend that traffic circuit to accommodate fire trucks or even truck and any type of large vehicle. That is merely there as a drop convenience to the residents as a drop-off area. I should also point you back to the May 27th email from the fire marshal, and his only comment with regard to the ability for fire trucks to get in and out of the site was to ensure that we had a 22-foot drive aisle on the property, and as you'll note in looking at the detailed site plan, we do have a 22-foot drive aisle. With regard to Mr. Tanner's comments on the ability of the Branchville Fire Department to access their station, the first thing I would say, and this is more just, you have to look at the existing conditions out there. If you look at the detailed site plan, there is currently a fence constructed along our property line. And that fence has been in place, I believe, for at least 3 years, if not 4 years now. And the fire trucks, fire trucks are currently getting in and out of the fire station, okay, within the dedicated right-of-way, okay? They do not need any additional room on our property to access their fire station. I cannot accommodate what Mr. Tanner thinks will the future needs of the fire station. I can't accommodate that. I can just say that we are more than accommodating what's out there today. And that, when I say more, I refer you to the turning radius that was submitted to you by the City of College Park in their letter of support for this project. And you'll see there that there's more than enough room to accommodate those trucks. I should also note, in order to accommodate those trucks, we also located the sidewalk that was supposed to have been within the public right-of-way onto our property. This was also a point made by Mr. Tanner in his comments he submitted to the City of College Park. He wanted to make sure that there was safe means of ingress and egress for pedestrians so that they would not be within the area that we are improving to accommodate the fire department. And then also, in order to accommodate the fire department, we are accepting condition that requires that we install a no left turn sign at our site entrance to address his concerns with regard to vehicles possibly turning left and going down in front of the fire department to gain access to Maryland 198. As to his contention regarding the trees, those are located outside of the area of the detailed site plan. This detailed site plan does not cover that area. Yes, we have a stormwater management facility located on that portion, but again, it's outside the area of the detailed site plan. That's why there's no reference in your staff report to those trees that he's referencing in his presentation.
You meant 193, right? Not 198.
I'm sorry, yes, 193, excuse
Okay,
me.
okay.
It's 193.
Okay.
Finally, with regard to his contention regarding the fact that we're not located within a mile of the metro station, very early on we vetted this issue with Mr. Mills, and also had conversations with Ms. Borden regarding this issue. We vetted that issue, we reviewed the zoning ordinance, and reached the conclusion that that measurement was taken property line to property line. Now, Mr. Tanner mentions in his presentation that the property line we're taking measurement from only contains a stormwater management facility. That is not correct. That property not only contains a stormwater management facility, but it also contains parking associated with the metro station site. And I would point to you in your consideration of this issue that one of the things that we looked at in our discussions with General Counsel's office was we looked at the zoning ordinance to find, and we found provisions where the district council, or the county council, excuse me, enacted provisions of zoning ordinance which specifically gave the measurement from metro station platforms in other situations, but they did not have that specific requirement with regard to this provision contained within the parking ordinance. So we looked at that and found that there are situations where the council specifically stated that the measurement needs to be taken from the metro station platform, whereas in the provision that we're relying upon here today, it just says the metro station. So we took it as it can be taken from property associated with the metro station. And again, this property that we're taking that measurement from is associated with the metro station. It contains a stormwater management facility, but more importantly, it also contains parking associated with the metro. And let me just make one other point, and I think the chair has already touched upon this. The property is zoned R10. We are not asking for any variances from any of the bulk requirements for the R10 zone. With regard to the height of the building, we are well below what is normally required in the R10 zone. And I should also point out that one of the reasons why we are as high as we are is because we're providing structured parking with this. This is something that we explored very carefully, and we're able to make it work on this site, and we're very proud of what we came up with, not only with regard to the use of structured parking, but with the overall architecture for the building. I think that touches all the issues raised by Mr. Tanner, but if there's any other questions or comments, I'd be happy to answer those. And again, I also have Mr. McCoy with me as well as Mr. Casey.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see if the board has any questions for you. And after that, I'm going to turn to Mr. Goldsmith to see if he has anything else to add with regard to the Metro and Mr. Mills' memo. So, and any of your, you're checking on Mr. Kaysen and Mr. McCoy, is that what you're saying? Mr. Lynch, you want to see if they have anything to add?
No, if the board has any questions,
any
I'd
questions?
be happy to answer those,
Okay.
and also Mr. McCoy and Mr. Kaysen.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And did Mr. McCoy join us from Boston today?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. All right. So let's see if the board has any questions of you at this time, Mr. Lynch. Madam Vice Chair?
No additional questions, thank you.
Commissioner Giraldo?
No, and I just want to point out that the applicant is agreeing to construct an asphalt turning gear to accommodate the fire department. Am I right, Mr. Lynch?
That's correct. We're doing that. That's correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dorner?
No, I have no further questions, and just a heads up to the chairwoman, I have to be off the call at 2, but
Okay.
I'll be back at 2:30.
Okay,
So I have
well,
a-
I think we're done. Okay. Okay, so was there anything that you felt compelled to add, Mr. Goldsmith, or did Mr. Lynch answer the question with regard to the Mr. Mills and the Metro 1 mile radius?
I think Mr. Lynch answered the question. The section 27568A allows reduced parking if fully within 1 mile radius of the metro station. And it's been the legal department's interpretation of that provision for 5 years to require the measurement from the property line.
Especially, is that especially since when it's not supposed to be measured from property line to property line, it says so with specificity?
Right, it's called it out, so it's reasonable to assume that the district council wanted it to be measured from the platform or from the entrance, they would have said so. Here, we're left to guess as to what they mean by the metro station. Is the metro station the platform? Is it the area where you come in and buy your pass? Is it the kiss and ride? Is it the parking lot? We don't know. And here, this interpretation, which I think is reasonable, allows you a definite point to measure from, and that is from the property line.
Okay. All right. So if the board doesn't have any other questions, we'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Giraldo. I move that we adopt the findings of staff for DSP 19042, as well as the Type 2 Tree Conservation Plan TCP 2-012-202, along with the staff's associated conditions, as well as those modified in the applicant's revised conditions and accepted by staff.
Okay, we have a motion. Second. We have a motion and a second by Madam Vice Chair. I don't see it. Is there any discussion? I do want to take the opportunity to thank everyone for hanging in there today and sharing their input with us. And I see that the citizens who signed up are new to the process, but I know it's been a learning experience, and you both did very well. But know that you can download the staff reports in the future so that you have a heads up. All in favor indicate by saying aye, Madam Vice Chair.
Aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
Aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Continue to stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Hightower, are you on?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the Planning Board. For the record, Raina Hightower. I just want to discuss with you CB 63, which adds a new use, waste services with private fueling station. This bill appears to circumvent the zoning ordinance for a few properties by proposing a new use that is like the existing trash removal services use. The use does not add the requirements that are required for the trash removal services use. Staff recommends that the planning board vote to oppose CB 63 2020.
Questions?
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Giraldo, I think you're a second then.
I'll second.
Madam Vice Chair.
But aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Dorner.
But aye.
Okay, the ayes have it 4-0. And then Ms. Hightower, given your wonderful staff report on your memo on item CB 69 2020, is there anything else you feel compelled to add to that one?
No, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, so we all have the staff report recommending, the staff's recommending that we oppose this.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a motion? Or any questions?
Nope, I accept staff's recommendation. We oppose.
Okay, so that's your motion?
Second.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Okay, and seconded by Vice Chair Bailey. Vice Chair Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Giraldo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dorner?
But aye.
Okay, the ayes have it 4-0. Thank you, Mr. Goldsmith, today. Thank you, everybody. Commissioner Dorner, you ready for your 2 o'clock? Everyone stay safe and have a good day. Thank you.
Commissioner Dorner.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Okay.
What happened to Mr. Hunt?
Oh, Mr. Hunt, Mr.
I
Hunt,
think we're gone.
Mr. Hunt, is there any additional business to come before planning board today?
There are no additional items before the board.
Oh my goodness, I'm slipping. Wait, here we go. Planning board is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.